said a review of the current tariff structure is not out of the question.
Otherwise, if there was no prospect for a review, there will not be need for a continuous engagement. So we continue to engagement because there's always prospect for review. And we're not the only country that is in that position. We are part of the others.
Teachers Union SARTU has welcomed the publications of two regulations under the Basic Education Laws Amendment Act. Yesterday, Basic Education Minister Siviwe Kwagube officially published the regulations dealing with issues of capacity and uniform for public comment. Kwagube has been under pressure to publish 10 policies that will govern how the Bella Act will be implemented. SARTU spokesperson Nomusa Cembi says the union is still assessing the regulations and will be submitting their comments not later than early next month.
And we will be vigilant to ensure that whatever goes forth is in line with what is in the Act, that we do not deviate from what the Act says.
A KwaZulu-Natal husband linked to the murder of his wife will return to the KwaDukuza Magistrates Court today. The matter was last week postponed for bail investigation. Thobani Nzama and Sipho Mgwaba are linked to the murder of KwaDukuza local municipality official Noglunga Mashabane, who was shot last month while travelling home. Nhlanhla Mabasa reports.
The accused Thobani Nzama and Sipho Mgwaba were nabbed in connection of the murder of Nzama's wife Noglunga Mashabane last week. Mashabane was a manager for intergovernmental relations and protocol in the office of the mayor. He and his co-accused Gwaba made their first court appearance last week, where they were remanded in custody. They will this morning return to the dock. Political parties and civil organizations have vowed to return to court. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News.
And the family of Zambia's former President Edna Lungu will find out today where they will bury him, as the High Court in Pretoria is set to hand down judgment in the case between the country's government and the family. A legal battle played out in court this week, with the Lungus arguing to be allowed to lay him to rest in South Africa. The former Zambian head of state died in June in Pretoria, where he was receiving medical attention. Talks between the Zambian government and the family for his body to be repatriated fell through. Khomotso Modisa reports.
Lawyers for the Zambian government argued this week that former Zambian President Edgar Lungu's family had agreed with the state to repatriate his remains to Lusaka and prepare a burial that the current president, Hakainde Hichilema, who was his political rival, will play a minimal role in. But the family now says it would be undignified for the courts to force them to allow the country's president to preside over Lungu's funeral, considering how he treated him. In 2023, Lungu was stripped of his presidential perks and retirement benefits, as the Zambian constitution dictates when a former statesman returns to active politics. While the Zambian government insists the Lungu family's wishes cannot trump the public interest because of his status as a former president, the family insists he was rendered an ordinary citizen when he lost his presidential perks. Khomzo Modise, Eyewitness News.
Gold is trading at $3,398.20 an ounce. The rand is at 17.72 to the dollar, 23.81 to the pound, 20.66 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.38 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got an accident reported on the N1 South. It's right near Rivonia Road. It is causing delays, so please be on the lookout there coming out of the Baklu interchange. While traveling on the M1 North, we've got delays between the Boysons Road and the Crown interchange, obviously due to peak time delays there. So please be on the lookout and drive with care.
A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs of 17 and 19 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: the South African Chamber of Commerce in the US says the country's position as a gateway for American companies into Africa is now at risk, highlighting knock-on effects of US tariffs.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Gauteng's greatest awards with 702 and Yoko are back, celebrating local business, backed by you. Submit your nomination now on primemediaplus.com.
702.
Live
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7.
And 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Good morning. It's 9:06. Welcome to the Friday edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. Tshidi Madia here in for Clement Manyathela. He is off for a couple of days. As Bongani said, it's a dirty weekend. No, not so much. He's off to celebrate his birthday, but he will be back in a couple of days. I'll be with you until 12 this afternoon. And as per usual, we'll kick off with the open line. Then we'll have the usual Friday features. On Across the Desk, we'll speak to marriage counselors. What does it take? How do you prepare? How do you help couples navigate marriages? And then in the third and final hour, I want you to first remember, it is adult radio between 11 and 12. We're focusing our attention on something called erotic blueprints. Do you know yours? Have you ever heard of that phrase? Let us know if you're watching on YouTube, if you are listening via Prime Media Plus, if you're listening on your radio. You are more than welcome to get in touch with us to share your thoughts on the various topics that we'll be juggling throughout the 3 hours of the show. But I do want to start off though by paying this team's respects to Eksteen Tateng. Very sad news coming out this week that one of our own has passed on. I'm sending love, I'm sending strength to her family, and especially, of course, to Bar Obs and to Chris from the Aubrey Masango show. I don't know any one of us who've worked here late into the night, those who toil the midnight oil, who work late into the night, who've not experienced Eksteen Tateng's warmth. Even as part of the EWN family, a lot of us, knew Eksteen Tateng Guhusitse. We will remember you. We will miss you. Thank you for everything that you've done for us. Eksteen Tateng Robala Kakujo. Just wanted to pay my respects to you and to send condolences to your loved ones. How's your week been? Have you had a good start to the week? Has it been difficult? What are your highlights, your lowlights? We'd also like to have some of your thoughts. I do know this particular show does Gratitude Fridays, so feel free to let us know how the week has been. You can call us on 011 883 0702 072 702 1702. That's for your WhatsApps and voice notes.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
All right, so I'm not sure if you've looked at the newspapers or even online, but I was looking at Times Live this morning and I saw a really interesting story where it speaks about the national dialogue. Remember, there's a national dialogue that is due to take place next week, right? So Times Live reporting this morning that it's hit more hurdles. Lisa Katandra and Khotatso Madisha reporting that there's a storm brewing as some of the foundations have threatened to pull out of the national dialogue. This is over management and logistics relating to the dialogue. The dialogue, as I keep saying, is meant to kick off next week. Times Live says issues include the venue as well as funding. There's so many controversies that have hit this attempt to get the nation talking. I swear, if you ask me, I would say that in and of itself is ominous. That in and of itself is a warning when attempts to move in a particular direction, attempts to get people to talk, are hit by so many issues. I mean, when you look back at it, the dialogue has had that 700 million rand price tag controversy. Then you had the second largest GNU partner, the DA, pulling out of the dialogue. Yes, they pulled out of the dialogue instead of the GNU to register their unhappiness about Andrew Whitfield, but that caused lots of issues for the dialogue. Now you're hearing about foundations at the heart of the dialogue supposedly wanting to pull out. All of this happens with a cynical citizenry in the backdrop, right? South Africans aren't necessarily, at least on my end, I don't feel a vibe, I don't feel excitement, I don't feel eagerness from South Africans about the national dialogue. I was in conversation with Mayor Brigalia Bam on the Politricking podcast earlier this week, and I asked her that. I said, South Africans don't seem to care. The foundations are talking about it, the president is talking about it, but South Africans, how na vibe? There's nothing that says that South Africans are interested in this conversation at that level. What I found odd about it is this very show this week held a people's dialogue. I tuned in, I listened to Clement engaging various people from across all walks of life. And the one thing that was interesting is that when that wrapped up, South Africans said, we must have more of these. We must find each other. We must close the social gap. There's so many issues. We need to be able to sit and hold a space for one another. Well, government is trying to do that for you. What's blocking you? What's stopping you from participating, from showing interest in the national dialogue? Are you irritated by that price tag? Is it a question of not trusting the process? What are the issues? I'd really like to know your thoughts about what it is and whether or not you're interested in what the national dialogue seeks to do. Attempts to build a social compact haven't worked out. The hope, from my understanding, is that this will lead us in that particular direction. I don't know if it will. If you South Africans, are not interested, then what is to be done? Because that is actually one of the reasons why this is happening. Part of the excitement that the foundations kept talking about is South Africans get to determine what they want for their country. So if that's the case, why is there no appetite? Hmm? Is it about the facilitator? Is that where the issue lies? Is it because you don't trust the government that's part and parcel of this? I've noticed also that there is a trust deficit, and I think it speaks to that Times Live story between the foundations themselves as well as government. I'll tell you which foundations are involved. There's quite a lot. You've got former President Thabo Mbeki's foundation, the Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe Foundation, the FW de Klerk Foundation, the Desmond and Leah Tutu Legacy, Umlambo, Chief Albert Lutuli, the Khalima Motlante, and Jake's Gerwell. So there's a lot of foundations that are doing the work. In fact, somebody in government had argued that they actually are not even allowed to tinker with the agenda. The foundations aren't allowing government to get that close. But there's a trust deficit, as I keep saying, that I've picked up on between the foundations and government. I think for some in the foundations, they look at government and it's not trusted because we are here in part because of government failures, right? Sure. And then the other argument that I think can be made is something that Mayor Brigalia Bam said to me at the beginning of the week when she said, we should not look to Parliament for answers. Her main argument was they made mistakes. Oh, it was really difficult to hear her say, don't blame us. I'm not making excuses. We got it wrong. She, who was a commissioner of the IEC, disagrees with the electoral system, one that's left parties to make to have the powers that they have in Parliament, saying that, if you sing nice, you're appointed to Parliament, that those are issues that if you do wrong, you're told, don't do it again, but go on. So those are the issues that they would raise about how we got here. So they're dealing with a government that's how they view the politicians of today, these people. That's my sense. And then you've got government that looks at the foundations and says some of these foundations are looking at the dialogue as a way to survive. The argument being made is that, again, there's this massive price tag. And for some of the foundations, they're cash strapped, they claim, and some of the government insiders saying that this is a way, it's a 24-month project. It's a way to keep them going. That funding has been running dry. We've seen what the Americans have done. That in part, that's what this is. What's your reading? 072-702-1702. That's for your WhatsApps and voice notes. If you want to call in and have a chat, 011-883-0702.
For more about 702,
Go to primemediaplus.com.
Tshidi, good to have you this morning. Tshidi, I don't think, especially for me, I feel this government is a government that doesn't listen. It has proven time and time again that it doesn't hear its people, doesn't listen. There's been a grown number of people who said, why are we having a dialogue? Why are we not taking action? Why is Ramaphosa wanting us to talk now, almost at the end of his presidency? That means for the time that he's been with us as a president, he has not known what to do for this country. So they don't listen. That's the one thing, that no matter what we say, they don't listen.
Good morning, Tshidi. Yeah, you are right. There's no buzz or there's no excitement about the national dialogue, mostly because we don't know what is it. We don't understand it. Thank you. This is Livsiba Tefu from Mashashane Swahili.
Morning, CD and 702. Why do we need a dialogue? Because the South African problems, everyone can see where they are. You know issues of crime. You know issues of unemployment. You know issues of high electricity tariffs. You know issues of cost of living. So why must we sit down and now and talk about this while you know where the problems are? And you can't be a party that has been in charge for 30 years, and now you don't know where the problems are. Let's talk about problems. South African problems are there. There's no need for this dialogue.
Hello, Tshidi and the listeners. I am so saddened to get the news that Austin Tating has passed on. You know, I'm one of the ardent followers of Praopri's program. And I know the relationship between the two of them, you know, the chemistry has always been very strong, and we could feel it from where we are. May I say she rests in peace, and condolences to the family and to all of us, 702 community. Thanks.
Thank you so much. My heart bled last night. I listened to Bra Aubrey as he paid tribute to her. Absolutely heartbreaking. Thank you so much for your messages of support. We are discussing the national dialogue, and we're asking, what is your take? I want a vibe, that thing. Remember in 2010 when the World Cup was, you're like, Philip, there's no excitement to talk about what the shared vision should be. Craig and Santon, good morning to you.
Good morning. My take on this matter, if I may, simply put, is we all get rallied up to participate in all of these seemingly events that is there to inspire confidence, inspire and motivate people to do better. But at the end of it, the government ends up with inaction. Nothing comes from it. I think we're a society paralyzed by inquiries on top of inquiries. We continuously have to share what we are unhappy about. But what happens at the end of the day? A lot of money gets spent, a lot of engagements happen, inquiries happen, but we have nothing to show for it. To what end?
Yeah, Craig, you're raising a very important question. And it's one that I also asked, even with the former IEC commissioner, is where do we go after that? And, you know, she speaks about the belief of implementation, that they're doing the work. But what you need to remember is if they're raising issues with the people in parliament, nothing will happen outside of parliament. They go back there. If legislation needs to be changed to make things better, as you raise it goes back where? To parliament, where we've seen them serve themselves, where the elite looks after themselves across the board and put themselves ahead of everybody else. Thank you so much, Craig, out in Santon for that. I see Ntapokazi Mjambi says, and the National Dialogue comes at a time where there were calls for the ANC to renew. Let me do that again. And the National Dialogue comes at a time where there were calls for the ANC renewal, which no one is talking about now. What if this is about the ANC trying to redeem itself? That's coming out on YouTube. You know what? I think that is part of the problem, right? It's about optics. The only party that speaks about the dialogue is the ANC. It doesn't belong to the ANC. I think the foundations have tried really hard to drive home that message that it's about us, not about the ANC. But the problem, again, I say, it goes back to Parliament, to those people. The president actually spoke about this issue on Monday in the closing, again, the ANC of his address, saying that we must be clear that the national dialogue does not displace the democratic processes mandated by our constitution. Its outcomes cannot supersede the electoral mandates that parties carry into parliament and the executive. And there is where I think South Africans will definitely have a problem. Bonnie in Santon, hi. Bonnie, good morning. Can you hear us?
Hi, good morning. Yes. Sorry. How are you?
We are very good. You wanted to chat about the dialogue too?
Yeah. Tshidi, Craig just took the words right out of my mouth. When do we start implementing? When, I mean, if the government cared to really listen, we have these dialogues on a daily on platforms like 702 and the likes. But when exactly are we going to start implementing? Just right now, 2 days ago, or just yesterday, doctors were in KZN were protesting. 700 millionaire could have employed how many of them?
That's
we have these talks on a daily for free, local.
For free.
I mean, if
they must just listen to the rest of us, ne?
Exactly. When I know so, how long it took for the president to remove Dr. Nobu Kengabay. So which goes to prove or after spending this 700 million, they still may not listen. And then volela 700 million later, still nothing happened.
All right, Bonnie. Thank you so much. Bonnie is calling us out in Santon. There's no optimism that I'm hearing attached to this. But again, I want to say, I listen to the people's dialogue. South Africans want to talk. South Africans want to find solutions. There are South Africans who want to find one another and chart a way forward. Is the issue the fact that there's government involvement? And then the other question is, when all is said and done, 24 months, you do the talk, you put together a report. How do we action that report outside of the political elite that is in parliament? Kustas, hi.
Yeah, Tshidi, good morning, man. You know, I called also to wish condolences to Austin Tateng's family. I saw your tweet last night.
Yes.
That's the one that alerted me to this. And, I was so sad because I spoke to her in June. That's the last time I was coming from the show as well. So I normally call him brush off when I get the time. But she was an absolutely incredible human being, by far. And obviously condolences to Ob's show and to Ob's himself and to the 702 family. And that's all I had in mind for today. But taking a bite on the dialogue, Tshidi, I don't know, we are creative in ways of wasting money as in South Africa. It's not that the ANC government does not know what to do. I just think they just don't have the courage to do it. Literally, even them, they probably wonder why they keep on getting elected every year, like Winji, whether it's a ward, whether it's a city. I don't think they know, because they are truly reversing all the gains that they get under Thabo Mbeki by faster rate to a point that by the time they leave office, it will be far, far worse. So, having said that, I have no faith and hope that this thing is going to yield anything, because government has made it clear, like you read now, that look, you know what, we hear what you're going to say, but doesn't take away what Parliament is due coming into. So let's have the talk shop, and then that's all we do in South Africa, isn't it? Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you, Kustas. Thank you for the messages around us and Tateng. Let's have a talk shop, he says. And that's become who we are. We take so much pride in being this wonderfully robust and loud democracy, but it doesn't work if we don't work. And that's part of the challenge, right? Is moments like this, for me, present opportunities to get involved. But it's not enough to just talk and talk. The part of the apprehension, and I'm hearing it and I'm taking it into consideration, is, and then what? Rabulela, and then what? On the WhatsApp line, TD, last year we voted and gave this government a mandate. Granted, it wasn't a full mandate, but they all campaigned on certain manifestos that they now need to implement. That's why this dialogue is redundant. I feel like Ramaphosa conducts himself like we are in a Codesa mode. Then he'll take his time to consult until the last inch of his presidency, and then gaslight us into thinking that it's action. The policies are there. They just need to implement them. Thank you so much for that. Funny enough, it's not this. The dialogue is not his idea. You guys know that. I think the president has actually said as much. The dialogue is from a President Thabo Mbeki's idea. Then you rope in the churches as well. Government, I feel like, was coerced in moving in this direction as well. And I don't know if that makes a difference to you at all, you know? Stembiso in Meadowlands.
Yes, how are you, TD?
I'm very good, thank you. What's on your mind?
I'll keep it short. Regarding the dialogue, I'd like to go the opposite direction in what you just said, that South Africans actually want to talk and come up with solutions. I think as South Africans, we know, everybody knows what needs to be done in order to improve our country. However, our government keeps on failing us with implementing. We have so many beautiful laws and whatnot, but implementation, example, the bylaws. We have so much beautiful bylaws, but they're not being enforced. So I think as South Africans, we now just want to vent. That's why we always agree to these conversations and dialogues.
And what about our responsibilities, those citizens? Because we do a lot of, hey, government, and rightfully so. There are failures that we must place directly at the door of government. But I also find that we also don't play our part.
Unfortunately, what happens is, example, you as a South African, you take the initiative, you want to make your country a clean place. I'm in Soweto, I see somebody selling drugs, I report to the police, only to find out that the police is infested. So what happens? Nothing. Or I become a victim. So we end up doing if you can't beat them, it's either you join them or you just complain from a distance.
All right, Stemi, so thank you. Stemi says out of Maryland. How heartbreaking that even for those who say that they try, for them, it's absolutely pointless to do so. Advocate Mofe Gyawubona, but before I come to you, let me go to Mudise in Vereeniging. I'm looking for somebody who's slightly more positive about the dialogue. Hi.
Oh, yes. How are you? I think the dialogue is going to be successful because everybody is going to be involved. White, colored, Indians, and blacks. Not ANC only.
It's not about the parties. It shouldn't be. And I think we're struggling to also divorce that from the dialogue, that it's about South Africans talking. You believe that it's possible and that it could be a success?
It is going to be a success because for the first time, white people are conscious now about political climate in South Africa, even Indians and colors. We want to hear them. And even all political parties. We're talking about mass democratic movements here. We're not talking about ANC. People must be positive. If maybe even journalists are involved, people like you and others.
We must have views,
about who are conscientizing people. Even our religious institutions, they're going to be involved. So people must be positive about it. And if they want ANC to implement, what must they implement? Because they've got less than 40%. They must invite other parties. And it's good if they invite other parties. People must be positive. Thank you.
Thank you, Mudisa. Mudisa sounds like an ANC member. Did he say, what do we want to...
Right.
Did he say, what do we want to implement? We are 40%. Okay, Mudisa. Advocate Morfe Dumela. Advocate Sam Morfe is on now. Good morning, Advocate.
Dumela, how are you?
I'm very good. Long time. It's been very long.
Hey, it's very, very, very long. But I listen to you all the time anyway, I just wanted to call and pass my condolences on the family of Nkateng, Aubrey told me about her death yesterday. And, it is so painful. I mean, she was one of our best producers, really, and who took her job so seriously. And she has been doing this job for many, many years. And she used to call on some of us as ideas as to which topics to run with. And I was so shocked when nobody told me that she passed away yesterday. It is so sad. I think we lost one of our greatest brains in the media space, really. And I just want to say, may her soul rest in peace.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's Advocate Sam Morfe, who's South Africa's ambassador to South Sudan over there. I mean, many of us share those sentiments. We've lost someone special. As I said earlier, there's not a single one of us who's toiled well into the night, at midnight oil, who did not know Alsanta thing, who never felt her presence. So thank you for all those messages we receive, and we of course pass the condolences and love to her family as well. It is 9:30. Sfiso Zulu's got your headlines.
Thanks, Tshidi. Good morning. An inmate has died and 4 officials have been injured during an altercation at the Oudtshoorn Correctional Centre in the Western Cape. It's understood that the violence broke out this week during a search operation that was carried out at the facility. The family of slain IFP Member of Parliament, Ketamabala Sithole, wants his alleged killers to be denied bail. Sithole was killed in May when gunmen opened fire at a group of IFP supporters in Katlehong during a a meeting yesterday. 3 men accused of his murder appeared in the Palm Beach Magistrates Court. And a dispute between Legal Aid South Africa and the defense lawyers in the Senzomewa trial has created uncertainty over which of the accused will bring a discharge application before the court. Yesterday, a representative from the Legal Aid told the court that it was unwilling to foot the entire bill required by some of the lawyers while they prepared the application. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by cars.co.za. Let's find what moves you. Amo, how are the roads?
Well, if you're traveling in Bedfordview Tshidi, we've got some delays on the N12 and the R24 West between Edenville Road and the Kidulis interchange. There's also queuing traffic, in fact, bumper-to-bumper delays on the N1 South between the Braakfontein interchange and Olifantsfontein Road. That's due to a major accident that happened just near the Braakfontein Road off-ramp, and it's causing about a 20-minute hold-up. Please be on the lookout there and drive with care. Traveling towards Amalgam, we've got delays on the M2 West between the Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road. I'll have more updates for you. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
8 out of 10 radio listeners suffer from CAR, or car advertising on repeat. Symptoms include fatigue, anxiety, and confusion. With so many car ads coming at you on your daily commute, buying or selling a car can feel overwhelming. But there is a cure.
Cars.co.za. Whatever car you want to buy or sell, cut through the and just go to cars.co.za and let's find what moves you. Cars.co.za.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
I want to focus on vehicles that are still under finance. Obviously, a bank gives you a loan and you pay it over a period of time. You still owe that bank. What happens when you've written off your car?
So for an insurer to write off a vehicle, in that case, the cost of the repairs will have to be compared to the value of that vehicle. Where the cost to repair the vehicle is more than the value of the car, then they will have to then write off the vehicle. I think you'd agree with me, it would not be economical to repair that vehicle.
V. Khoza is a franchise enablement manager at Consult by Momentum.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Want business insurance that gives you peace of mind? Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for catering companies, boutique hotels, guest houses, tour operators, and more. That's why over 100,000 businesses across various industries trust them. Enjoy services like Help It Out with 24/7 access to panic assistance, roadside assistance, and even office assistance. Get a quick and easy quote today. Call 08600 60 000 or visit outsurance.co.za. Licensed insurers and FSP, T's and C's, and information online.
My family's struggling with snotty noses and phlegmy coughs.
Oh no! Have you tried ACC?
ACC 600 is a convenient one-a-day effervescent tablet from 14 years of age. Or now also in a no-water-needed, fruity-flavored sherbet-like granules that dissolve in your mouth. Ideal for the on-the-go adult. Ask for ACC 600 effervescent or oral powder at your nearest pharmacy to get rid of the snotties and flemmings. And trust, if it doesn't say ACC, it's not ACC.
The National Lottery keeps creating big winners. One lucky Powerball winner scooped the jaw-dropping jackpot of over 124 million rand on Tuesday after playing through their banking platform. Play any National Lottery game and stand a chance to win life-changing jackpots. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old to play responsibly. eTuba is a proud operator of the National Lottery.
It's the final days of the Dial-A-Bed annual super sale with up to 33% off. Don't miss out on SA's best bed deals. The Sealy Celebration Queen Set is now only 8,999 and the 40 Winks Active Zone Queen Set is reduced to 11,999. Plus, get next day delivery on our best sellers. Dial-A-Bed. Sleep for life.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
9:35, Tshidi Madia in for Clement. I'll be with you until 12 o'clock. It is the open line, various issues on the table. I also have a question for you. What's in a name? Have you ever thought about that? So the Umkhonto Wesizwe Party has issued a directive to its structures. I do know there's a media briefing later on. I'll tell you if you want. what I think that briefing is about. But anyway, they've issued a directive to the structures. This following a meeting that they held on the 6th, deciding that members shall no longer refer to each other as commanders, but instead as comrades. They'll do this with immediate effect. Provincial conveners will now become provincial chairpersons, as you see it in the ANC, and provincial coordinators, very much like the ANC, will also become provincial secretaries. It got me wondering, does it matter, Part of the reason, from my understanding with the MK doing this, is that it's aimed at strengthening and growing the organization. I want you to quickly listen to former President Jacob Zuma, leader of the MKP, explaining why they should call each other comrades and not commanders, and the importance and the value of rankings, respecting rankings. Listen.
Command should sonke siyalingana. Sonke, we are the same. Akekho ophethe omunye siphathene nje. Sonke siyalingana. Leyo nto yenza ukuthi sibe weak, singahloniphanga. Because ucommand udlula ngani? Commander, ya commander. Into serious kabi leyo. Is a military word. Commander, umuntu ocommanda ama-forces. A commander yena, masikhulumena akakhuluma omunye umuntu. Sayifaka nje ukuba phela sasijahile sizama ukuthi sisheshe sithathe umbuso. Manje sihleli namatheli 10 As a result, uyazi lento kuthiwa yini? Kuthiwa yini imlokhuzana elinganayo? Parallel. Yiyo lento because umuthi no kukhethwe mina ukuthi ngiphethe. Navela ikhethela abantu bakhe. Niyalingana mos. Commander no command. That's a problem. Nenhlanhla. Ngiyanazisa nenhlanhla. Sesiyixoxile siyayiqeda yonke lonto. Comrade akubo comrade nje siyeke ukwenza lento esiyenza ngoba ayisizi ngalutho. Indaba ungayibuzanga. So ilungisa nje yonke kahle. So imemezela iphakathi nendawo. Siyayilungisa ukuthi izinto zizolunga kuze sihloniphane. That's why ukuhloniphana kungekho. Omuthi ngcono nami ngcono ngizwe ngokomanda sonke. Yeah, so commander, what's wrong? Good morning, commander. Good morning, commander. Finish.
So that's former President Jacob Zuma speaking to party members and explaining the issue that he takes with members calling each other commander, speaks about the importance of respecting the rank, and that because they call each other commander, there is no respect. So it speaks to hierarchy in essence. That's what he's raising, right? And how he believes that if they all change from calling each other commanders, it will also instill some level of respect and respectability and stability within the party. It will foster that. He complained about it, and he said that the reason why commander was there the way that it was because they were rushing for elections, and so they're going to fix these things. And as I said, they've put out a directive now to all its structures in the MKP, saying that it must change. Got me thinking about titles. Do they matter to you? Is it an issue about disrespect if your title is not respected? Like if you got your doctorate, you want that because you earned it. It must be said. If it's not said, you'll be aggravated. In my space as a journalist, as a political journalist specifically, there's this weird thing that happens around being called a senior political journalist. I don't understand it. I've never had a fascination with it. I don't even get what a senior political journalist does sometimes. But I know a lot of journalists who want to be called by that title, want to be known and understood. I'm a senior in conversations out of the blue. As I say, and you're like, does it matter? Do you get anything out of it? I don't need to get into that whole, hey, call him CIC. No, his name is Julius, please. So there's all that back and forth. Does it matter? What's in a name? What are your thoughts? 072 7021 702 072. Hold on. 072 7021 702. That's for your voice notes and WhatsApps. 011-883-0702. That's to call in and to engage with us. Of course, we are also speaking about the national dialogue. I see a lot of commentary on the national dialogue. I'm going to go to Sandile in Kagiso quickly.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
Sandile, I'm sorry about that. Sandile in Kagiso. Abel is reprimanding me. I'll take my L's. Hi, Sandile.
Yes, hello, Tshidi. It's Sindile. Yes, thank you.
Oh, Sindile, I apologize.
Yeah, Tshidi, for 30 years, the ANC has been in power. And they come up with one thing. They say, let's have a dialogue. Because it's manufactured by them. It started with Mbeki, as you said before. And they said, let's talk South Africans. South Africans are no longer angry enough. They want to sit down with the ANC and talk. While we, the voters, we are taking it down slowly but surely, piece by piece, to 40%. And now you want to talk. So South Africans are being manipulated by the ANC again, and they're allowing it to manipulate them with the dialogue. We've been talking so long. We know the issues. Right now, Ramaphosa made what you call Gweremantashe a minister of police, temporary, while this guy was fingered in the Zondo Commission. What does that tell us? Are we going to talk about that? Is that part of the agenda? Is Nkulu part of the agenda? It's all those who are implicated in Zondo Commission, who are appointed by Ramaphosa. Part of the agenda of the dialogue. Are we going to talk about that, to tell Ramaphosa exactly what he knows, what we know? Ramaphosa knows more than we do. And then we want to sit down and talk. Who's going to talk? People of South Africa will be complaining, coming to the radio after this dialogue, complaining that it was not fair, it didn't come to us, it didn't reach this and that. They will be complaining again, but they forget that they've allowed it to happen. We can't allow it to happen. People know what needs to be done in this country. Simple as that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's Sindile in Kagiso. Thank you so much. I'm going to play a couple of your voice notes on this topic as well.
Good morning, the problem that I have with the national dialogue is the money involved. That money could be used for a lot of things. Or it could actually fill up most of the portals here in the Val where I stay, and maybe help out with the sewer lines that are broken all over. You've got a sewer line that is broken, there's sewer all over. Even at Didier police station, there's a sewer is just running in front of the police station. Thank you.
Good morning, Tshidi Madia, subs here. Look, Tshidi, when it comes to this national dialogue, it's truly a joke. South Africans have spoken in the last elections. The ANC seems to be ignoring them and thinking that they can still bulldoze their way through talking and acting like they're still in power. Well, one message: South Africans will talk again in the next election. Just watch.
Yes, good morning, Tshidi. You're speaking to Joy here. I don't know what the point of the dialogue is. One question that I've got is the government going to implement whatever is being discussed at the dialogue, or is it going to look at the issues? Because there's one issue that I feel that a lot of South Africans have been feeling strong about. It is the question of the immigrants. Let us say, suppose people do raise the question, is the government going to act on those suggestions? Let us say, for instance, people say the immigrants must go. What will the government do? So if they're not going to implement the resolutions of the dialogue, then what is the point of the dialogue? Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. There seems to be suggestions of a willingness, note those words, that if there are conversations and resolutions that feel urgent in the dialogue, that there'll be attempts to address them, but I'm not convinced. My greatest crisis with the dialogue is I'm not convinced of what the pathway forward will be, because the issues, as I said earlier, go back to the very political elite that everyone's complaining about. You're asking those people to deal with themselves. Part of the issue with the Zondo Commission report, it says the poison comes from parliament. It's the political system that's problematic. So this will be seeking to undo that as well, in essence. It'll ask us what we want, right? With an idea of fixing what's gone wrong. The well is poisoned, but the rot, without question, comes from the political landscape, comes from the political space. That's what many people in this country will say. So we have the engagements, then it goes back where? To rectify what's gone wrong. And I think that's where I'm not convinced about the way forward. Here are Hlitana in Midrand. Hi, good morning to you.
Miss Madia.
Hey.
A long time, Miss Madia.
Okay.
Miss Madia, listen here. What is it that the ANC want us to tell them in this dialogue? What do they want to find out?
Why is it about the ANC, Hlitana, quickly? Because it's
Okay,
about you and me. The foundations
hold
are
on.
involved.
Let's say the
Gladys
government.
Foundation is there.
Let's say government. What is it that government want us to tell them? What do they want to find out from this dialogue that they don't know? Because they know everything. They know everything that's happening. They know how South Africa. Because let's make an example, Miss Madia. On the 27th of April each and every year, it's a Freedom Day. Government does a function, Freedom Day functions, and who are the majority? Not even the majority. Who are the people that attend those functions? According to you, I've seen you at this celebration, Miss Madia. Who are the people? Who are the people? Who are the people that attend this function? It's us, the black people.
Yes.
It's us. It's the black people. For 30 years, I was at the last one here in what's this place here before Klerksdorp.
I'm not sure. Yeah, but anyway, yeah.
I'm saying to you, it is us that attend this function. It shows you.
It's not
It clearly
everybody
shows
who's
you.
pulling in one direction. Yeah.
Yeah, it clearly shows you that it's not everybody who's pulling in one direction. So when are we going to keep on begging our fellow white counterparts to be part of us? What government is supposed to do now? Because it is clear that our white fellow counterparts are not prepared to be a part of South Africa in certain things. There's only certain things that they want to be part of South Africa. Okay, when it comes to, they say, in fighting crime and not wanting someone in certain positions. Okay,
they care about what makes them comfortable and not the overall picture. Is that what you're
let me tell you what the government is supposed to do in the ANC. The ANC is supposed to go each and every location, each and every suburb. Instead of doing this thing, you're never yet. They're supposed to send people in government, head of the departments and ministers into communities to find out what are the problems that the communities are facing. Do you think people from Lihuru or people from Marble Hall are going to be at that thing that's starting next week? They're not going to be there. They are not going to be there because they wouldn't even have the money to get there. So you take the people, you take your people, heads of the department, the ministers, you send them into the communities. You will find out, after that you compile all those things, you will find out all these people, they are crying about one thing. And you fix that. Miss Madia.
So you are saying it's an elitist exercise, that in and of itself, it's classist. That's the first point that I think you're making, one of the points you're making. The other interesting one for me is your point about white people. I agree with you. They don't turn up for events, national events. We don't see white people on the ground at those stadiums. I agree. Are you also saying that even this opportunity given to them to talk about the way forward for you is one they will not bother with?
They've got no interest, Miss Madia. They've got no interest. They are just like they are actually, there is a certain black class that is becoming like them, the ones in the suburbs. Okay, they are becoming like white people. They are not interested. Those are the other ones that you wouldn't even see in those gatherings. Okay, unless they've got something there, unless they're going to benefit something there. Even if we do these things, we still wouldn't see white people into those events, those kind of events. The only way that we'll meet them is at the rugby World Cup, rugby match.
Okay, I'm seeing a lot of white people actually responding to you, so I'll go through some of those responses. Thank you so much, Hlitana out in Midrand. Have a good Friday, Hlitana.
You too, Miss Madia.
Miss Madia, yes. I want to play more of your voice notes. I am seeing a lot of your interaction. You know, there's an interesting thing that Professor Somato Tafikeni always says to me, and that's the race issue in this country. He always says to me, we are people who do not agree on what the past of this country was. We don't agree on how we're experiencing the country today, nor do we agree on what the way forward is. And that's the challenge. Again, I want to go back to the People's Dialogue this station held, where people of different colors said, we do need to close the social gap. We do need to find one another. We do need to understand each other's context a little bit better to move forward. That's part of the problem. I'm going to play some of your voice notes now.
Good morning, Tshidi. To me, titles, they don't matter. I'm fine with people calling me by my name. Actually, my first name, I don't really love the titles. And I feel like as long as you deliver, man, as long as you deliver, what matters is the deliverables, not how people address you. Hey, Pascal Pretoria.
Dumela Tshidi, whether it's commando, commander, comrade or concrete, it doesn't change the price of bread. So for me, I don't care. Thanks, senior journalist Tshidi Madia. This is Tabiso from Midlands.
And I also don't care for it. Please don't ever call me that. Don't ever call me that. Just call me by my name. TD's just fine. TD's just sharp. But I agree with you. It's really like it's neither here nor there. I remember Andre Director was really upset about the use of comrades by members of the ANC. Obviously, the embattled, beleaguered former CEO of Eskom. I remember now how upset he was about the old school use of comrades. That thing is not going to go away. That's just what it is. 072-7021-702 to send voice notes and WhatsApps. 011-883-0702 if you want to call in. Mark in Centurion, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Tshidi. Listen, I'm very disappointed. We're talking about a national dialogue. We're talking about the problems in this country. For the last 31 years, of a political party who's been in government doesn't know by now what the issues are in this country. I can count them on one hand. The lack of economy, the lack of jobs, the lack of infrastructure, the lack of healthcare, the lack of education, etc., etc. We don't need a national dialogue. And then we get people calling in, playing the race card and race baiting. Absolutely unacceptable. What has race got to do with a national dialogue? Especially when white people, unless for the better part, if you want to call it that, because the DA is always called a white party, which it isn't. But you have some white ministers for the last year only. For the last 30 years, we've had black ministers and so on. And the problems that stem from this country, in this country, basically come from 30 years of mismanagement, incompetence, corruption, and so on and so on. What has that got to do with race?
Mark?
I'm sorry, these race-baiting comments are totally unacceptable.
Mark?
Yes.
I think one, I'm going to try and address a few things that you've raised. One, I don't think that, let me try actually. One, we've had white ministers. I'm not going to get there. It's neither here nor there for me. Two, I don't think the dialogue is about government. And I think that's what I keep trying to say to everybody. And I think that's where the issue with the dialogue might be, that government is involved. Maybe that's where the problem lies, but that it isn't about that. But I think part of the dialogue is to bring South Africans together. Part of that for me would mean, whether you like it or not as South Africans, you must deal with your race issues. And I think that's what the Tlokonolo was raising. I don't know if by definition I would say what he said is race baiting. I think he's raising a point about participation and finding one another and South Africans hearing each other out. And I think if you remove government and you speak about how South Africans relate to one another, there is a question to be asked about how we relate to one another. On the score of government failures, I think we're all on one page. We all recognize that we have a government that's failing us. I don't think there's anybody in this country who goes, oh my goodness, government has been outperforming itself. No, that's not the case. Then our country wouldn't be where it is.
Can I just respond to that?
Sure.
Jobs has got nothing to do with race, okay? Whether we are talking about a worker or whether we're talking about a CEO of a company, the economy is failing. Because of the economy is failing, we don't create enough jobs. Whether it's black or white jobs, it doesn't really matter. Black and whites agree in this country. The potholes in the roads are not black potholes or white potholes. They are potholes. It affects white and black people. It's got nothing to do with race. If there's not enough seats in schools, or not enough teachers, or not enough nurses, or not enough doctors, or a public healthcare system training, black people get sick, white people get sick. The issue is what we need to look at, not whether black people and white people can live together. Black people and white people,
No, that's part of it, though, actually, Mark. At no point is that not a part of it. Because that takes away from how we got here. Your argument completely removes how we got here as a country. South Africa's history cannot be divorced. That stuff cannot be divorced. But on the score of government failures, Mark, I'm on the same page.
Well, okay.
But to remove... Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Let's call it a day because he's not listening. I can't disagree. I can't say that you completely remove the issue of race off the table. You can you can debate how it's handled, but it's definitely not removed. 011-883-0702 072-702-1702 for your WhatsApps and voice notes.
702 delivers
on the matters that matter to you.
I'm Nathan Ilunga. I'm Congolese, and one thing I love about 702 is the open line on Clement Manyathela show and the healing hour. Overall, what I like most about the station is the different topic they cover. They broaden your mind and push you to think. They help you to become a critical thinker. So that's why I listen to 702.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
so we can deliver more on what matters to you.
702 listens.
Let's walk the talk.
After work, on weekends, or when you just want to toast to life, we all have that one spot. The cocktails are crafted to perfection, the music sets the mood, and the bartender knows your order before you even say a word. It's more than just a night out. It's a place where memories are made and community is built. If there's a venue that keeps your spirits high, it's time to raise a glass to them. Now's your chance to say, I see you. Nominate your favorite for Gauteng's greatest drink spot at primemediaplus.com, because Gauteng isn't just the hub of business, it's the home of excellence, and excellence deserves your applause. Gauteng's greatest awards with 702, powered by Yoko. Let Yoko counterfuel your business greatness. Go to yoko.com to explore the new point of sale solution, saving hundreds of businesses time and money.
When you empower a woman, you empower a whole nation. Women have a remarkable way of multiplying whatever is placed in their hands. This August, we're celebrating Women's Month with the theme Building Resilient Economies for All. We reflect and honor the courageous women of 1956 who took a stand against the injustices of the past. We also recognize and celebrate all South African women who continue to lead, build, and inspire across every part of our society, from business and education to peace building and beyond. Yes, there is still much to be done. The pursuit to achieving total gender equality and empowerment will continue until every woman is able to enjoy the benefits of a safe and just society. #Rekaufela Basadi. #Women's Month 2025. A message by the National Department of Sport, Arts and Culture.
Unfold extraordinary with the brand new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 5G 512 gig. Get it on a 6 gig Red Core plan from 1,749 per month over 36 months and double your storage with Vodacom, Mzansi's winning 5G network. Enhance your deal. Add 149 extra per month and get the Galaxy Watch 8 eSIM and Galaxy Buds 3. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together, Vodacom.
Step inside the business of sport and entertainment with Harvard Business School's Professor Anita Abelser at the Prime Media Sport and Entertainment Masterclass. Explore Netflix's rise in the streaming wars, the billion-dollar world of Grand Theft Auto, and the strategies of global sport leaders. 11 and 12 August at the Maslow Hotel, Sandton. Book your seat now at Ticketmaster. It's 10 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. An inmate has died and 4 officials have been injured during an altercation at the Ooswarren Correctional Centre in the Western Cape. The violence broke out during a search operation at the facility this week. Lauren Isaacs reports.
A search operation was carried out on Wednesday, during which offenders housed in room 005 of A section initially refused to comply. Correctional Services says tensions rose as some offenders resisted being searched, but officials managed to stabilize the situation and several contraband items were confiscated. The department's Singabakon Kumalo says in a clear act of retaliation yesterday, offenders from the same room launched a premeditated and violent assault on officials during unlock procedures. Of 18 officials on duty at the time, 4 sustained injuries, including stab wounds to the face, head and back. 1 offender sustained injuries and, despite receiving medical attention, had died. Lauren Isaacs, Eyewitness News.
The family of slain IFP Member of Parliament Keta Mabala Stole wants his alleged killers to be denied bail. Stole was killed in May when gunmen opened fire at a group of IFP supporters in Katlehong during a meeting. Yesterday, 3 men accused of his murder appeared in the Palm Ridge Magistrates Court. Tabiso Goba reports.
Keta Mabala Sitole's family have described the late politician as a leader in both his home and party. He leaves behind 2 wives and 8 children who are still reeling from his death. Police are still on the hunt for one more suspect in the case, believed to be the mastermind behind Keta Mabala's death. His older brother Sipho says this is a major concern for the family.
Even for those who are still behind bars, the family is still fearful about what would happen if they were released.
The matter returns to court on the 19th of August, where the 3 men accused of killing Keta Mabala are expected to make their formal bail applications. Tabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
A dispute between Legal Aid South Africa and the defense lawyers in the Senzo Mayor trial has created uncertainty over which of the accused will bring a discharge application before the court. Yesterday, a representative from Legal Aid told the court that it was unwilling to foot the bill, or the entire bill at least, required by some of the lawyers while they prepared the application. An application is brought when the defense believes there is no real evidence against the accused for conviction and thus no case to answer to. The state has spent 2 years leading evidence to draw links between the 5 accused and the football star's 2014 murder. Khumutso Modise has more.
That is a problem. I think I am being misinterpreted here. You see. And that has always been the perception that has been in the mind of Legal Aid South Africa, that I am after money. I am not after money, my lord. I was only requesting for assistance, but they are saying they are not in a position to assist.
Sounding exasperated, Advocate Charles Mnisi addressed the court on his need for 4 weeks to prepare a Section 174 discharge application for his clients Moses Bia and Mtobisi Mncube, but Legal Aid is simply not willing to pay for it. Legal Aid says it will only pay the lawyers their daily rate when they are in court and for 2 hours a day for their preparation. When proceedings ended yesterday, only the lawyer for the 4th accused, Tshidi Madia, confirmed that he'd be bringing a discharge application. The 5th accused, Visakuhle Nduli, abandoned his application. Arguments for the Section 174 discharge will be heard later this month. Khomzo Modise, Eyewitness News at the Pretoria High Court.
In Australia, a court has heard how convicted triple murderer Erin Patterson allegedly tried to repeatedly poison her husband, including with cookies she claimed their daughter had baked for him. The Australian woman was last month found guilty of murdering 3 relatives and attempting to kill another with a toxic mushroom-laced beef Wellington. The 50-year-old was originally charged with 3 counts of attempted murder against her estranged husband, Simon Patterson, but these charges were dropped on the eve of her trial. The details of the allegations, which Patterson denied, were suppressed to protect the proceedings, but can now be made public for the first time. Gold is trading at $3,398.20 an ounce. The rand is at 17.72 to the dollar, 23.81 to the pound, 20.66 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.38 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N1 South between the Brakfontein interchange and Olifantsfontein Road. This is due to an earlier accident, but at this particular moment, roadworks are taking place along that route, and that's the reason for those delays. While traveling on the N12 as well as the R24 West, traffic remains very, very slow between Edenville Road and the Girulis interchange.
A partly cloudy Friday for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 17 and 19 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: an inmate has died and 4 officials have been injured during an altercation at the Ooswarden Correctional Centre in the Western Cape.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Gauteng's greatest awards with 702, powered by Yoko. Your favorite local business could be a Gauteng legend. Nominate them now on primemediaplus.com.
702.
Live
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Six minutes past 10, the Clement Manyathela show. Tshidi Madia in for Clement. Coming up this hour, of course, is Across the Desk. We speak to marriage counselors today. Do you have any questions? What do you want to know about how they go about doing their job? What's your curiosity around this particular job and what they do and how they help couples? You can call in and engage and ask them questions. And remember, between 11 and 12, of course, is the sex focus. We'll be dealing with the idea of erotic blueprints. I said it before, never heard of it. So if I giggle a little bit later on, just bear with me. But you can call in. Our lines are open throughout the show. 011 883 0702. Send WhatsApps on 072 702 1702.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
All right, welcome to Across the Desk. As I said, today we're going to be looking at marriage counselors. Marriage is one of the most beautiful journeys two people can embark on. But like any other journey, it's not without its challenges. Marriage counselors are people who've seen the highs and lows, the heartbreak and the healing, who walk alongside couples as they try to rediscover connections and an understanding between one another. Whether you're married, you're thinking about it, or just curious about how relationships really work behind the scenes, this conversation is for you. Have you seen a marriage counselor? What was your experience? What are the questions that you have about marriage counseling? You are more than welcome to call in. I'm joined by 2 experts on this. I've got Pastor Xolani Hlitana, Pastor X, who's a marriage therapist and marriage officer. Good morning to you. And I'm also joined by Susan Eksteen, who's a marriage counselor. Good morning to you both. Pastor, let me start with you. How does one even go? I mean, I feel like by being a pastor and a marriage officer, you almost know marriage comes with the job. You will deal and handle marriage. But how did you get drawn into focusing specifically on marriage? You could have been a pastor whose core focus isn't marriage, I imagine.
Hi, Tshidi, and thank you for having me. And good morning to your listeners. Well, maybe let me start here, Tshidi, and say, sometimes it is wrong to have that assumption, and this is what people do, that just because you are a pastor and then automatically you become a therapist, because the minute we do that and you dilute, some people's professions and then the time we spend. But it's something that comes with the territory. And by default, because you are leading people and you will be a first point of contact when they have issues in their families and in their relationships. But that doesn't automatically make one to be a marriage counselor by virtue of just being a pastor.
Oh, got you. Susan, how did you end up being a marriage counselor? What was your pathway into this role?
Yeah, I was interested in psychology from a very early age because my father studied that, and he usually told us very interesting things about psychology, and I got interested in the human psyche. And then later, after I had my children, my son was diagnosed with attention deficit disorder, and I thought, well, let me continue my studies to be really able to help him. And then as I continued my studies, I got very interested in how does the dynamic work in a couple? Because I saw people around me who were happy, and then I saw people who were less happy, and I got very interested in that. And I continued my studies. I did a master's degree in theology with specialization in pastoral therapy. But I'm not a pastor. I'm not a pastor. And that qualified me to have a private practice. And now, for the past 18 years, I think I have a practice at home. I practice from home, and I'm talking to you out of my office. So, yeah, and actually, when I started my practice, before I was trained in as a couples therapist, I had a couple. And then I realized I don't have the knowledge to really help this couple, which then sparked the curiosity to find out more about it. And my supervisor at the time when I did my master's told me about the imago model of couples counseling. And then I embarked to qualify as an imago relationship therapist. And yeah, that was now 18 years ago. And since then, I've been seeing a lot of couples, working with them daily, but I also see individuals as well.
Pastor X, I know you said, I'm glad you actually started off by clarifying the difference between just the broader being a pastor and specializing in marriage. I'm pretty sure one of our listeners is going to ask you about it's married at first sight. But before we even get into that, let's speak about, I'm pretty sure it'll come up. So let's speak about what drew you to wanting to help the partnerships and marriage and help people find each other and make better connections and to navigate that space.
Okay, so Tshidi, let me just give you a bit of a background here. I studied IT and I never worked in IT. Actually, I was forced by my mom, specifically. I'm not going to say parents, my mom, because she was like, there's no money in what I wanted to do. So I did IT, and when I finished IT, I never worked there. I just said to her, this is what you wanted.
I've got the qualification you want.
And then, yes, and then I went to study public relations. I studied public relations up to BTech level, and I worked in advertising. In fact, where you guys are at Fredman Drive, that used to be our office at FCB back in the day. FCB, it's an advertising agency. I worked there for a while and a couple of agencies. Now, I was running a charity organization called Catex Foundation in Alexandra. And it was focusing on young people. And as a youth pastor at the time, I was dealing with a lot of young people, and obviously I will interact with their parents. And some of the issues that these kids would have emanated from the problems that the parents are having. And I will have some intervention. And that was just purely from, my head and from the knowledge, little bit of knowledge that I had. And at the time, I also had a diploma in theology. So I was just using those. And over time, I started having a lot of these parents coming to me and saying, Pastor X, you know what? You gave an advice to my child. You gave an advice to my friend. And what can I do? And I started consulting without any background, just with a theology diploma. And over time, I realized that I'm not doing justice to these people. And just like Susan, from there, I started, and I was charging like 100 rands at the time for a session per hour. And I went to study. I enrolled for a diploma in family therapy. And out of that, I started also doing masters in family therapy and coaching. And from there, I realized that this is what I have a passion for. And I dropped out and I quit my job, my full-time job as a client service director. And yeah, I opened my practice like Suzanne. I'm working from home and I've got an office in Edenvale where I also consult for people who want to do in-person sessions. So it's something that just developed out of the love of young people, and I had this interest in relationships. And that's when I also in 2008 registered as a marriage officer. So that's how it came about. And 21 years later, here I am, and I'm loving what I'm doing. And I think this is the best decision I've ever made.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. Susan, the issue of wading your way through perceptions in this role that you all play, what's been surprising for you as somebody who holds the hands of couples? Do you find that in my head, Susan, I always think people only turn to people such as yourselves when they are in danger. What misconceptions do we have about couples and when they lean on marriage counselors and seek advice? Susan?
Just repeat your question, please.
Just the issue of perceptions. A lot of us assume people only come to you when they're in trouble, when they feel that their marriages are in trouble. Is that it? Do people seek advice only when intervention is needed? What kind of couples do you see? Do people come for guidelines to try and avoid finding themselves seeing red flags? What are the misconceptions that we have about the work that you do and the kind of people that seek your help?
Okay. Yeah, very seldom a couple will come for enrichment, or they come under the guise of enrichment. And then when you dig deeper and deeper, that you see that, okay, there's really a reason for them coming here. So most people make appointments because the relationship has been suffering for some time. It is... yeah, and they cannot ignore it anymore. It might come to a point where they are really fighting a lot. There's a lot of conflict. The children have heard, witness maybe fighting, maybe getting physical with each other, or the one partner just wants out, cannot be in the relationship any longer. And I also see a lot of couples where one of the partners had an affair. And that is not the death of a relationship. Actually, it can be a very a wake-up call for them to work on issues that they have been postponing, and to work on the issues that are really meaningful to them. So yeah, I see a lot of couples, and then I also see individuals who want to have a better life. To sometimes it's they come because there is problems in the marriage, and at other times they just come for growth, or when there's particular issues. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. I'm going to take a very quick break. We're in conversation. It is across the desk, joined by two guests, Pastor X as well as Susan Eksteen. Have you ever wondered about the work of a marriage counselor when people turn to marriage counselors? Have you ever sought counseling for your marriage? How was your experience? You can give us a call, send a voice note or WhatsApp, 011-883-0702, 072-702-1702 to share your thoughts.
Be in the right place at the right time with Betway's jackpot slots. Stand to win your share of millions of rands in cash every week. Bet on selected slots every Thursday and Friday night between 7 and 10 p.m. and you could be our next big winner. The more you play, the more chances to win. Get way more only at Betway. Terms and conditions apply. Betway is licensed by the Mpumalanga Economic Regulator. No persons under the age of 18 are permitted to gamble. NRGP Counseling Line 0800 006 008. All events are fixed odds betting games.
So Taryn, you've just graduated cum laude, but nothing says you're a genius quite like selling your car to WeBuyCars.
Absolutely. My car was an 18th birthday present, and it's time to move on to something a bit more mature.
So where did you hear about WeBuyCars?
All of my friends are using WeBuyCars. I would have had legit FOMO if I hadn't used them. And it was so quick. I did it on my laptop while sending around my CV.
Smart move, Taryn. Graduated and upgraded. WeBuyCars. Geared for success
geared for you.
Choose the best. The new Huawei Pura 80 series. The master of photography. A super sensor with precision zoom. Stay sharp from dawn to dusk with a superior 1-inch ultralighting camera and ultralighting macro telephoto lens. The master of color, enhancing every frame with vibrant color and incredible clarity. Tricky lighting? No problem. Take portraits against the light with every face perfectly illuminated. It's more than a phone. It's a professional studio in your pocket. Go beyond with Huawei Pura 80 series.
Every Thursday on 702 Breakfast, Old Mutual Corporate tackles the tough questions around South Africa's retirement crisis and how to change the future we're heading toward within the world of work.
So last year, you recall, we were on the cusp of the two-pot system, and there was a lot of buzz in the industry around how that's going to happen. We're a year down the line now, and this year's forum is really about driving more collaboration between employers, industry, and policymakers to turn these insights that we've started to get from even the two-pot or even the data we had before into how do we change this retirement crisis that we have in South Africa. So we're really spotlighting the sustainable solutions that can be used.
The Old Mutual Thought Leaders Forum, Thursdays between 6 and 9 a.m. Brought to you by Old Mutual Corporate on 702.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
Welcome back. It is Across the Desk. Tshidi Madia standing in for Clement. We are speaking to marriage counselors. Wondering if you've ever been to a marriage counselor. Have you ever thought about it? Do you have any questions? I'm joined by two experts via Zoom. I'm joined by Susan Eksteen, who's a marriage counselor, and Pastor X, who's a marriage therapist and a marriage officer. Do you have questions? Feel free to give us a call to ask them if you want advice on a particular matter and how to approach their work. Feel free to call in 011-883-0702 or a WhatsApp and a voice note on 072-702-1702. Pastor X, let me come to you and speak about the issue of warning signs. Very often when you've dealt with couples, when you look back, what are the surefire signs that there's trouble brewing and that maybe a couple should consider approaching people such as yourself?
Okay, Tshidi, most of the times is like Susan was saying, we hardly get people that are coming to empower themselves and who are coming to make sure that they get to understand exactly the journey that they are on. Usually, people come when it's way too late. And most of the times, what I've picked up is they come as a last resort, and they're coming just to tick a box. I think it's fine. I think to come and tick a box just to make sure Uguti everything they can be able to justify and say we've done everything, And some of the biggest red flags that people would ignore is that I normally pick up is expectations that are not managed well. And these are not managed well because they haven't been communicated. So you find somebody, just because we are in love, we assume certain things, and we assume these things based on sometimes our backgrounds, our cultures, and from previous relationships. You just assume, just because I shared with you and said, Tshidi, in my previous relationship, my woman used to ignore me and pay attention on her phone. And automatically I assume that by me saying that, you will understand what actually I mean by it. So assumptions and expectations are the biggest of these, the issues that we'll see. And obvious, the other one is issues around infidelity, where people would move from one relationship to another without ending the previous relationship. And a person discover, halfway through that actually there's 2 or 3 of us in this relationship. And by then they are halfway deep into this relationship. And some of the things are just obvious from the start. A person, the way they treat you, and we ignore that. We always have this mentality of saying, no, they're going to change. The more I do, the more I love them, they're going to change. And sometimes we have to realize some things we have to, deal with them from the word go. I think 2 days ago, I was saying to one couple, I'm saying, how can you say this relationship is going to work out if this person has cheated, on you 5 times? The first time we can talk about it and say what could have led to that. Second time, you have enabled this person. It's no longer even a red flag now. You are the problem on this. So these are some of the things that would come a lot. Assumptions and unmet expectations, because these expectations were never communicated. It's just an assumption.
Pastor X, let me stay with you a little bit. Earlier you mentioned the issue of culture being something that shapes some of what's presented to you. Let's go a little bit further and look at both culture and tradition. I mean, part of what we struggle with as we evolve in modern society is still that there are roles for men and women in relationships. I will at some point speak about queer relationships, but the idea of particular roles, and I think it lies in assumptions as well. How do you navigate that? How prevalent is that in the matters that are brought to you?
Okay. What I've picked up over the years is there are certain cultures, especially here in South Africa in particular, where this is a serious issue. I have couples, multiracial couples as well, who are coming through, and you see this. It manifests itself. There are 3 main cultures that really are very strong when it comes to issues of culture: Zulus, Vendas, and Pedis. Usually those 3, you would find that especially the guys, they will be fixated on this notion of gender roles in a relationship and overlooking the fact that things are no longer the same now. And both of you are working. We both leave the house at 7 o'clock. We both come back at 5 o'clock. And there's now this expectation that one must do certain things. So it is always important that we talk about these things and we agree. Okay, you need to understand what it means to be married to a Sotho man, what it means to be married to a Xhosa man, because unfortunately, my expectations will always be informed. Yes, I might be modern here and there, but there are certain things. For an example, there are things that I could do if it's just me and my wife in the house. But there are things that I will never do. One of them is mopping the house. Imagine now my friends, my relatives, my family, they visit us and they see me mopping. It looks wrong. And that is just me, okay, as a cultured, Xhosa man. But for somebody else, they wouldn't mind even kneeling down and mop the house with a scrub lap. So culture is something that we need to talk about upfront, and I need to understand what it means when it comes now to a household. But what I want to say, let me finish by saying, Tshidi, every marriage is and should be unique. So I cannot be married to Susan and expect to do things the way I used to and the way my mom and my dad used to be. So I need to sit with Susan and say, Susan, we are building now this new family, Hlitana family. What does it mean to you? What are your roles? What are you comfortable with? What is it that you can't do? What are your limitations? What do you enjoy? What do you like? And then we can be able to build up a foundation out of that.
All right. When we come back, I'm going to go to headlines in just a short while. When we come back, we'll continue with Susan. I'm actually also interested. I'm fascinated by the cultural aspects that you've mentioned, but I'm also interested in finding out how economic pressures affect couples as well. I'll ask Susan that as soon as I come back from the headlines, though. But first, I'm going to Sfiso Zulu. It is now 10:30. Here's your headlines.
Thanks, Tshidi. Good morning. We begin in the Western Cape, where the alleged killers of 7-year-old Lolita Goa are expected back in the Khayelitsha Magistrates Court in Cape Town today. Odwa Jack and Nogtula Macheseni are accused of the murder after bloodstains believed to be that of the little girl were found in their home and inside Jack's taxi. At least 20 municipalities in KwaZulu-Natal are at risk of losing their funding from National Treasury due to poor financial management. This is part of Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana's stance against poor performing municipalities in the country. And the family of Zambia's former president Edna Lungu will find out today where they will bury him, as the High Court in Pretoria is set to hand down judgment in the case between the country's government and the family. A legal battle played out in court this week, with the Lungus arguing to be allowed to lay him to rest in South Africa. The former Zambian head of state died in June in Pretoria, where he was receiving medical attention. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Travelling on the M2 West towards Amalgam, we've got delays between the Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road, while on the N12 West as well as the R24, there's queuing traffic between Edenville Road and the Kirulis Interchange. Heading towards Sunning Hill, expect delays on the N1 North between Winnie Mandela Drive and Rivonia Road due to an accident between these 2 points. There's also queuing traffic on the N1 South between the Brakfontein Interchange and Olifantsfontein Road due to roadworks as well as an accident. If you are travelling in four ways, do expect delays along Winnie Mandela Drive towards Leslie. This is due to faulty traffic lights, while in the same area, Witkoppen Road, piling up there due to roadworks taking place right near Main Road. So please be on the lookout there and continue driving with care. We'll have more updates for you. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays
12 to 1.
On the Midday Report, every day from 12 to 1 p.m, we will bring you breaking news from the scene as it unfolds with newsmakers, reporters, commentators, experts and analysts. We'll explain the stories of the day, give you context for why they are important and what they mean for you. It is everything you need to know in 1 hour, from news to global events, business, sports, science, books, and always some good news too. Appointment listening every day at 12 with the Midday Report.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
This August, the Prime Media Sports and Entertainment Masterclass is open to the public for the first time. Join Harvard Business School's Professor Anita Abelser for 2 days of global case studies, including Real Madrid's winning formula, Netflix's streaming dominance, and Francis Ngangu's fight for athletic freedom. 11 and 12 August at the Maslow Hotel, Santon. Seats are limited. Search Prime Media Sport Masterclass on Ticketmaster to book today.
Welcome to the brand new days. Sail the world with Norwegian Cruise Line, with more to see, more to do, and more to enjoy. Plus, upgrade your holiday with NCL's More at Sea for premium beverages, specialty dining, and much more. Think international cruising. Think NCL. For the best deals available, visit ncl.com or contact your travel agent. Restrictions apply. Welcome to the brand new days.
More weekend wins are on the way. The Hollywood Bets Weekend Bonus Bonanza puts you in line to secure a sensational share of 400,000 Rand in exhilarating bonus bets. Gear up to go on an exciting adventure packed with more booming weekends when you log in and bet 2 Rand or more on selected Pragmatic Play, Playtech, and Habanero slots. Blazing bonus bounties await, so make sure you log in and bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
In a world where everything is instant, some things are worth slowing down for. You took the time to build a life of distinction. Every moment, every milestone, every decision. At Indwe, we take the time to understand your world and craft insurance solutions to protect it. Because true peace of mind is the greatest luxury of all. The right insurance starts with a conversation. It starts with helloindwe.co.za. Indwe Risk Services is an authorized financial services provider.
Franchise your future with a vision to invest, the mindset to follow a proven system, and the drive to grow something of your own. Meet the minds behind smart investments and proven franchise success on Franchise Your Future with Relebogile Mabucha, brought to you by Cash Converters on 702. Plus, you could win 10,000 Rand to kickstart your franchise, your future. Hit primediaplus.com now. Then every Tuesday from 1 p.m., catch Franchise Your Future on Afternoons with Relebogile Mabucha, brought to you by Cash Converters. Your money, your momentum on 702. Let's walk the talk.
702
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
It's 10:35. You are listening to the Clement Manyathela show. It is across the desk. Tshidi Madia standing in for Clement Manyathela. We're speaking to marriage counselors. Have you had questions about the work? Have you had questions for marriage counselors? Have you experienced any? What was the experience like for you? Do you have any questions? Earlier they were speaking about potential red flags, and they say a lot of couples come when it's way too late to seek intervention, that most couples don't ever approach marriage counselors for assistance or for enrichment purposes as far as relationships are concerned. I'm joined by two experts via Zoom to discuss this particular issue. I've got Pastor X as well as Susan Eksteen. Susan, just before the headlines, I was saying to you, I want to understand the role of economic pressures on relationships. What are you finding? Couples that have to navigate unemployment, financial instability, how do those impact relationships, particularly in a South African context?
I think it has a big impact, and it affects both parties. When, say, for instance, one loses his job, financially, it will impact economically, and on a big level, the family will be affected. But I think that if the couple is able to really hear each other's hearts, their longings and their needs, and when they can talk, when they have communication tools, where they still stay in connection, even though there's a lot of things happening, yeah. When there's a lot of things happening at the top, underneath, they still have a good connection. And they can connect. They know how to talk to each other. They can listen to each other with empathy, regardless of what is happening. Not blaming each other, not criticizing, because criticism and to defend, to stonewall, or to look at each other with contempt. Those are signals of, John Gottman calls them the four horsemen of the apocalypse. But regardless of what really happens in the family, if the couple can still connect and really share their deeper feelings, where they can be vulnerable towards each other, where they can feel safe, if they can talk about that, then the impact of the economy and those things outside of the marriage does not have a devastating impact. So the main thing I will say is if they can have good communication with each other and really hear each other's hearts in that time when they are going through such difficulty, that helps tremendously, because many a time you cannot change the circumstances. You can only change what you bring to the relationship. And that is very important to me.
That's a very important point. How do South African couples square up, though, Susan? I mean, we keep hearing that we have an increasing divorce rate as it is. How do we square up against other trends in other countries?
Yeah, well, South Africa has one of the biggest divorce rates. A recent study I became aware of is that about 50% of all marriages, first marriages, end in divorce. And when you marry for the second time, there is a 70% chance of the marriage failing. And with third and fourth marriages, the statistics goes up and up. So, yeah, it affects many people. And, people might not be married you have a formal contract or be married under South African law, they might stay together, and those have not been taken into account when the statistics came out. So yeah, it is important to know this and to know the odds against you, and then to not only prepare you for the wedding day, but for the marriage, for the long term, and if there are children involved, for the children to live in a safe environment, because children grow up in the space between mommy and daddy. And for that primary relationship to be a safe, stable relationship is very important.
All right. If you've got questions for our experts, please feel free to call in on 011 883 0702 072 702 1702. Are you about to get married? Are you in a marriage where you think you're seeing red flags and you want a bit of advice, a bit of guidance on what they've seen and how to navigate it? I've got a couple of WhatsApps that have come in, voice notes rather. I'm going to play those and I'll ask our experts to weigh in. Please take a listen.
Good morning, and to your guest as well. Tshidi, I feel there is a social evolution happening in our society, that there is relationship roles that are shifting and the dynamics thereof between male and female. And it will make marriages difficult going forward. Anonymous.
Thank you so much, Anonymous. I mean, Pastor X, that speaks to your comment earlier on where you said you will not grab a mop. I wonder about the age aspect of it, though, Pastor X. Are we seeing more younger people approaching counselors? Is it older couples? Do older couples think it's taboo to seek external intervention outside of families? Or are we still seeing people seeking intervention from families, going to loved ones and elders in the family for guidance?
Well, Tshidi, there is, like the listener was saying, there is a rather drastic shift, I must say, compared to even now, today, compared to 21 years ago when I started, where you would see mainly people who are planning to get married. And at the time, especially with Black people, it was still a foreign thing to go to someone, you know. And the biggest challenge with that, it was my gender. You know, they would have this thing of saying, I'm not going to have another man telling me how to run my household. And it becomes worse if the therapist is a woman. I'm not going to have a woman telling me how to run my household. But now that is shifting a little bit. But what I'm seeing on my end is I'm getting a lot of, especially your late 20s to early 40s, they really now seeing the need for therapy and getting someone. Maybe it's because of the experiences that they've had, where people now, you're sitting on your fourth relationship and you're seeing things, either new things but it's just not getting better. It's not improving in any way. So they come just to get that second opinion. Most of my clients, they would come for 1 or 2 sessions and they get that light bulb and they think, you know what, we've got it, and they go away. And one thing I always say, you cannot solve marital issues that have piled up, including the dating phase, piled up over years in just 1 hour session. You cannot do that. I'm sure Susan can attest to this. That first session is just us getting to know you and getting to understand why there is a problem. So, and people take that and just your remarks and they run with that. And guess what? 6 months later, you see them again. And you might think that therapy is not working. So there is a shift where people now really see the need of getting the help so that they can be guided. And also, I think it's because of the cross-cultural mix that we are having, where now I feel I don't understand how to relate with a Tsonga woman. I don't know how to relate with an Afrikaans woman. And I'm in a relationship with her. I love her. Everything is good. but we just don't click because of our background. So it's slowly getting there. But what we need to get to, Tshidi, we need to get to a point where people would come before there are issues. Before there are issues, I even offer my clients and say, if you come because there's no issue, I can even, give you a 50% discount, because I'm trying to encourage
Does
them
that work?
to come before.
Sorry? Does that work? Do you find that when you make an offer like that, because you're trying to entice them to
Yes,
work on the
yes.
relationship, do you find that couples are
Yes.
willing?
No, it does work.
Okay.
It does work a lot, because you see what happens is I can pick up the problems before they even aware that there are problems, and we deal with them. It's much easier. We don't deal with it as an issue. We deal with it proactively. You don't see it as an issue. If I'm saying to you, you know what, Tshidi, I don't like how you speak to your partner. Can you try going forward when you communicate to communicate in this way and this way? No one has been alarmed as that being an issue. So you work on it, before it even becomes an issue. That works and makes my life even easier, because I don't like to fail. I want, when my clients come to me, I make sure that it works.
Susan, let's actually speak about that. The success rates, your big happiness, your big moments where you go, my intervention has worked really beautifully here. What's been your proud moment, Susan, as a marriage counselor?
Yeah, when a couple deeply connects after they've been suffering from a long time of disconnection, when the two souls meet again, if I can say it like that, that is almost a sacred moment, and the energy is palpable, and things change there. It is beyond culture. It is beyond economics. It is beyond tradition. It's beyond all that, where they really see each other again, where they hear each other again. That is sacred moments for me, and I witness it with a lot of respect. And I usually watch the couples when they come in. It can be hostile, arms folded, cold and angry. And then when we've gone through the process already in the first session, because my first sessions are long sessions, I make them 2 hours, or we can even make it a bit longer, because there's a lot of things to cover in those sessions. So I watch them when they come in, and after the first session already, when they leave here, the energy has shifted. It has. It's calmer, it's more friendly, they are more chatty to each other. But those sessions are the nice ones, but you don't always get that. But we strive for that, because the environment here is non-judgmental. So we and I keep it as safe as possible for both, because both are right and both are wrong, and both are doing the best with what they know how. If they knew otherwise, they might not have come to me. So they need a new to be taught new ways, a new way to love each other, and that is culture, economics, or whatever. I work with the stuff deeper than that.
All right.
And to change that dynamics, because all of us want to be in connection. We need connection. We are born in connection. We're raised in connection. We get hurt in connection, and we can repair in connection.
All right. I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, I'm going to play a couple of more voice notes, and then they can weigh in on those.
You know what gets my attention? A man who drives the M-Zoom R-Style. Bold, confident, like he knows exactly what he's doing. That matte finish, that attitude, it's giving, text me when you get there. And now he's smart too. He just saved 50,000 rands. Promo price, only 439,900 rands. At that price, I might just text first. So, are you getting the R-Style, or must I keep swiping left? GAC Motor, where craft meets technology. T's and C's apply.
As a business owner, would you rather deal with stacks of slips at the end of each day, or have recons done instantly. Introducing Yoko Counter, the new all-in-one payments and points of sale system that removes the guesswork, the paperwork, and the time drain. Taking your business from chaos to control, guesswork to clarity, giving you back time to focus on what truly matters. Visit yoko.com today to find out more about the simple yet powerful out-of-the-box solution with free built-in point of sale software.
It's the final days of the Dial-A-Bed annual super sale with up to 33% off. Don't miss out on SA's best bed deals. The Sealy Celebration Queen Set is now only $8,999 and the 40 Winks Active Zone Queen Set is reduced to $11,999. Plus, get next day delivery on our best sellers. Dial-A-Bed. Sleep for life.
For more about 702,
Go to primemediaplus.com.
All right, it's across the desk. Tshidi Madia in for Clement Manyathela. We're speaking to marriage counselors. I was asking earlier, have you ever been to one? What's your experience? I'm joined by Pastor X and Susan Eksteen. We are discussing their experiences. They're both very knowledgeable, experienced marriage counselors, helping us wade through those issues and what they see when they deal with different clients who come to them asking for guidance and for assistance. I'd like you to both listen to these voice notes quickly.
Hi, Tshidi. My name is Mushabi Shadrach Mampetlani. I'm calling you from Sandton. I've got one question for the experts. Why in the olden days, our fathers used to marry 4, 5 wives and they will stay together for as long as possible until they die? But now we marry one woman is married by one husband or one man, then the divorce ratio is unbelievable. Why is that?
Morning, Tshidi, and to your guest. Morning to your guest. I just want to ask some advice quickly. I've been married for 9 years, almost 9 years now. My wife suffers from insecurity issues and jealousy issues. She constantly accuses me of being unfaithful to her, which is not true. In 9 years, I've been loyal to my wife as loyal. I've been totally loyal to her. We have a 6-year-old daughter. But because of her insecurity and issues and the constant accusations, I'm on the point of walking out of the marriage. The advice I need is, how do you deal with somebody that suffers from insecurity?
All right, thank you so much for both your input there. 072-702-1702 if you also want to put a question to our experts. So let me try to do it this way, right? Susan, I'd like you to speak to the issue of polygamy and how marriages of old used to survive. I mean, that question there is that men used to take so many other wives and they would have marriages that last. Earlier you did say that we have a high divorce rate. Why is that?
Yeah, well, polygamy is also a practice nowadays. It's not just, but it's it might be less than before. Yeah, we as a human race evolve and grow, and we are not living in the olden times anymore. So I think part of the evolving and growing is to have one-on-one connections. And we expect so much from that connection. We expect the fidelity, yes. We expect to be a friend. We expect so many roles of our partners, which was previously fulfilled by the community. And it brings a lot of stress into the relationship because we look to our partners for all those roles, being a friend, being a nurse, being a driver, being a teacher, being a cook, being a cleaner, being a financial advisor. All of those roles we expect from each other. And that makes it very difficult for marriages nowadays. And we must recognize that we don't live in a world that is easy. And then both partners has to work. There's time constraints. It's so busy always. And then when you come home at 6 o'clock, then the children needs to be fed and homework needs to be checked and attention needs to be given. So it is really, we are living in a world that has become far more difficult than 50 years ago.
Sure.
Yeah, and we expect a lot of the roles of husband and wife nowadays.
Sure. All right. Thank you for that. TT in Pretoria, you've got a question for our guests?
Hi, Tshidi, how are you?
Very good, thank you. Go ahead.
Sharp for your guests. 35-year-old male, 28-year-old female. The 35-year-old male is doing well financially, and he's accumulated so far as assets is concerned. Right? The young female just started out in their career, but now the male wants to marry this female. What advice would you give to him? You know, in an economic sense and in a treatment sense, especially that she doesn't have as much experience as him with regards to with regards to life, right? And he's accumulated a lot, right? And he got kids and wants to make a family, to make a new family with this young woman. And this young woman is also wanting to do it. What general advice would you give to these two people?
Okay.
Yeah, to the couple.
All right, thank you, Titi. That's Titi out in Pretoria. Pastor X, let me ask you that question. I don't know if I'm pushing it by saying also weigh in on the question of insecurity that was raised in the voice note, where the one gentleman said he's actually caught to walking out because of dealing with an insecure partner.
Okay. Tshidi, I would answer it this way in very brief and straightforward, because obvious, you see the difficult part about us, our work as therapists, it's difficult to answer just a straightforward question because what they are asking 90% of the times is not what the problem is. It's what they are feeling and experiencing at that time. So we actually have to dig deep and deep and deep. But just to answer, maybe let me start with the first one in terms of insecurities. There are a lot of reasons why a person will be insecure, including childhood traumas that they've had or past experiences in previous relationships or how they were raised and so forth. And you might find that probably the person has experienced some form of an abuse growing up and so forth. Now, what you can do as now a partner, as a loyal person, and sometimes it's because the person genuinely doesn't feel secured, doesn't feel like, by tomorrow she'll still be here. And some of the problems is, and it answers the second question as well, is that sometimes as couples, we don't grow together. You'd find that one person is empowering themselves, they go and study, they have masters, they have PhD, and when you still have matric or you just have, a certificate or a diploma, obvious that will form some kind of insecurities along the way. One of the things that you can do is to make sure that you give this woman some assurance. Let her feel validated, let her feel heard, and make her comfortable to even talk to you. That will help you. Now, to the second question, I think just direct and I would say the first thing you need to do, my brother, is to check if this lady is okay and ready to get married at that particular time. Because you might find that maybe she still wants to accumulate some things, at least to be halfway through to where you are. So get to understand that she's ready, but also get to understand what it means for her to get married to you with the gap that you guys have, age-wise and also in terms of assets. And out of that, we need to agree in terms of the type of marriage that we're going to have. Is it going to be in community of property? Is it going to be out of community with accrual? Or is it going to be out of community of property? When you have at least those, ironed out, it's easier to move to the other steps. But definitely go for premarital counseling.
All right. Thank you so much, Pastor X. I've run out of time, so I'm going to leave it on that note where he stresses the issue of premarital counseling. I do think that applies to a lot of couples. And I think one of the most important gems from this conversation is the idea of seeking counseling when things are good to enrich your relationship, not only when it's in ICU. Thank you very much to both my guests in that conversation. Pastor X, who's a therapist and a marriage officer, as well as Susan Eksteen, who's a marriage counselor.
The National Lottery keeps creating big winners. One lucky Powerball winner scooped the jaw-dropping jackpot of over 124 million rand on Tuesday after playing through their banking platform. Play any national lottery game and stand a chance to win life-changing jackpots. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. eTuba is a proud operator of the National Lottery.
At the heart of global conversations shaping the future, Africa's voice matters more than ever. As Africa's largest bank by assets and lead sponsor of the B20 Summit, Standard Bank Group is proud to spotlight the continent's growth, partnerships, and potential on the world stage. Through informed dialogue and powerful partnerships, Standard Bank is driving sustainable growth where it matters most. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. We begin with news just in. Foundations of 7 former struggle stalwarts have pulled out of the upcoming national dialogue. This includes the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, which played an important and huge role in pushing government to hold this event. In a media statement released this morning, the foundations say the core principles meant to underpin a national dialogue have been violated, including the erosion of citizen-led leadership. They believe the 15th August date, which is next week Friday, is a bit too soon to host an event of such importance. The alleged killers of 7-year-old Lolita Kowa are expected back in the Khayelitsha Magistrates Court in Cape Town today. Odwa Jack and Nokuthula Mnyeseni are accused of the murder after bloodstains believed to be that of the little girl were found in their home and inside Jack's taxi. Last week, the case was postponed for this date to confirm the pair's alternative addresses. Dr. Xolani reports.
The community of Kuyasa and surrounding areas have made it clear that Odwa Jack and Nokuthula Mnyeseni are not welcomed anywhere in Khayelitsha. The 7-year-old girl was murdered 2 weeks ago in Kuyasa and dumped on a site not far from her home. She was last seen playing with Mnyeseni's daughter at the couple's home in Kuyasa. Lolita Kowa was laid to rest in Lady Fray in the Eastern Cape last week Saturday. Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
In Oudtshoorn, an inmate has died and 4 officials have been injured during an altercation at the correctional centre. The violence broke out during a search operation at the facility this week. Lauren Isaacs has more.
A search operation was carried out on Wednesday, during which offenders housed in room 005 of A section initially refused to comply. Correctional Services says tensions rose as some offenders resisted being searched, but officials managed to stabilize the situation and several contraband items were confiscated. The department's Singabakun Kumalo says in a clear act of retaliation yesterday, offenders from the same room launched a premeditated and violent assault on officials during unlock procedures. Of 18 officials on duty at the time, 4 sustained injuries, including stab wounds to the face, head and back. 1 offender sustained injuries and, despite receiving medical attention, had died. Lauren Isaacs, Eyewitness News.
At least 20 municipalities in KwaZulu-Natal are at risk of losing their funding from National Treasury due to poor financial management. This is part of Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana's stance against poorer performing municipalities in the country. KZN Department spokesperson Nkosikhona Duma says high levels of unauthorized, irregular and wasteful expenditure cannot continue.
Municipalities are the closest sphere of government to citizens. They are key to service delivery. Failure to comply with financial management prescripts does not bode well for the agenda of developing an ethical and a capable state.
And the family of Zambia's former President Edna Lungu will find out today where they will bury him, as the High Court in Pretoria is set to hand down judgment in the case between the country's government and the family. A legal battle played out in court this week, with the Lungus arguing to be allowed to lay him to rest in South Africa. The former Zambian head of state died in June in Pretoria, where he was receiving medical attention. Talks between the Zambian government and the family for his body to be repatriated fell through. Khomotso Modisa reports.
Lawyers for the Zambian government argued this week that former Zambian President Edgar Lungu's family had agreed with the state to repatriate his remains to Lusaka and prepare a burial that the current president, Hakainde Hichilema, who was his political rival, will play a minimal role in. But the family now says it would be undignified for the courts to force them to allow the country's president to preside over Lungu's funeral, considering how he treated him. In 2023, Lungu was stripped of his presidential perks and retirement benefits, as the Zambian constitution dictates when a former statesman returns to active politics. While the Zambian government insists the Lungu family's wishes cannot trump the public interest because of his status as a former president, the family insists he was rendered an ordinary citizen when he lost his presidential perks. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News.
Gold is trading at $3,398.02 an ounce. The rand is at 17.72 to the dollar, 23.81 to the pound, 20.66 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.38 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N1 South. This is between the Brakfontein interchange and Olifantsfontein Road due to an accident. Please be on the lookout there. It's causing about a 15-minute hold-up. Traveling in Lone Hill, another accident reported on Witkoppen Road. This one happened just after Winnie Mandela Drive. It's causing delays.
A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 17 and 19 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: foundations of 7 former struggle stalwarts, including the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, have pulled out of the upcoming national dialogue.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Gauteng's greatest awards with 702 and Yoko are back, celebrating local business, backed by you. Submit your nomination now on primemediaplus.com.
702.
Live
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7.
And 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
It's 11 o'clock. Welcome back to the Clement Manyathela show. Tshidi Madia standing in for Clement. How's about that at 11 o'clock, yeah? The foundations of 7 former struggle stalwarts pulling out of the national dialogue. What do you think I was talking about the national dialogue in the morning? I never bring anything on the radio without knowing what's coming next. So they released a statement. And yeah, they have pulled out, saying that the core principles meant to underpin a national dialogue have been violated, including the erosion of citizen-led leadership. This is not about the political elite. It's not meant to be. That's the vision that the foundations had. But anyway, that's a story that we'll kind of watch as it unfolds. We called it. That's all I'm going to say. Of course, the third and final hour of the show, as you know, is adult radio. Let's keep the little leaves far, far away. Very interesting conversation today. I've never heard of this. I've never ever heard of this phrase. These are the things that Sinazor finds. I've never heard of an erotic blueprint, but that's what we're going to be talking about. I'm sure you might have heard about love languages. So you can join us and you can put questions to our experts as we make sense of what this means. 011-883-0702 702-1702 for voice notes and WhatsApp. Let's chat.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
All right, so as I said, it's time for the relationship feature. It is adult radio. I've never heard of the phrase erotic blueprint. It's my first time. I'm certain many of you have heard of the idea, the phrase love languages. From what I'm looking at, a rough idea of this erotic blueprints is quite similar, but it speaks to sexual styles, what turns you on, and ways to ensure that you reach an orgasm. We join now by Nu Davidson, a sex educator, to try and understand a little bit more about this. Nu joins us now via Zoom. Nu, good morning still. I I cringed a little bit. I will probably be embarrassed and blush as we manage this conversation. Please just bear with me. But I've never ever heard of an erotic blueprint and ways to make sure that you're turned on and the languages of being turned on.
Tshidi, so lovely to be on air with you, and I'm really excited for this topic. Don't worry, I'll be gentle. There's nothing to be intimidated about when we talk about erotic blueprints. When we talk about erotic blueprints, just to kind of simmer the nerves down, really what we're looking at is how we each experience desire, intimacy, and connection. Like, have you ever thought about or wondered why certain things turn you on and others just don't? So this is really what we look at when we define our erotic blueprints. Is like everybody, it has its own unique personality. Our erotic preferences vary also, but our erotic blueprints are ways of understanding how we experience arousal and intimacy. So you can kind of think of it a little bit like your sexual GPS.
Why is it important to understand one's sexual GPS? For couples out there, for even individuals, I imagine it serves a different purpose at different settings. But why is it important for us as people, as adults, to understand what our sexual GPS is? I think they call it an arousal map. Is it?
Yeah, like it is your arousal map. And I think it's super important for a variety of different reasons. But starting off, it's important to understand yourself. Learning your blueprint helps you understand what your desires are and how to better communicate them with partners. So this is your roadmap for your pleasure. As opposed to just going with the flow and expecting someone else to understand your pleasure. You yourself are in charge of your pleasure. No one else is in charge of your pleasure. You need to own that. So understanding your blueprints and what arouses you, what turns you on, what does it for you and what doesn't do it for you helps you better understand what you're looking for and how to have more pleasure, and take charge of that. I think it also helps to improve your relationships, because when you understand your partner's blueprint, it leads to better communication and more satisfying sexual intimacy. Because you learn to understand.
No, you can go on. No, it's okay.
So it's when you learn about your partner's blueprint, it helps you understand how to mutually satisfy each other on, knowing what turns each other on, as opposed to the guesswork that's taken out of the intimacy. And also, I guess it's about breaking taboos. Erotic blueprints also help to break down taboos. We have loads and loads of layers of shame and stigma of what is normal, when actually what is normal is safe and consensual, and what does it for you. And that's really what we want to do, is we want to take away the taboo out of it so that you can have the pleasure and what you desire.
Let's speak about the different blueprints, because it's very similar, as I said earlier, to love languages. Some people say to you, oh no, I like touch more. My language is service. In the erotic sense, what are the different languages that we can employ?
Okay, so there are quite different in terms of your love languages, but we're going to get into that shortly.
Sure.
So if we look at the 5 erotic blueprints, you have sensation, sexual, kinky, shapeshifter, and energetic. I'm going to break those down.
Yes, please.
So let's start off with sensual. So sensual for some is all about the physical experience. These individuals love touch, form of sensual massage, skin-to-skin contact and connection. Then you have sexual, which is more for the people who find arousal in more traditional genital-based ways. So think about passionate sex, direct stimulation of the genitalia. That is an example for sexual. Then you have kinky. Kinky, so the kinksters find excitement in power dynamics, role play, alternative sexual experiences. For them, it can be exploring boundaries, is a very important part of understanding your arousal as a kinkster. And then you have shapeshifter. This is someone who can kind of blend with any of the blueprints, an individual that has variety, flexibility, and fluidity between all of them. This totally depends on the moment and the situation, but they can kind of get arousal from any of these blueprints. And then you have the 5th one, which is energetic. For energetic-based people, sexual connection isn't about touch necessarily. It's about feeling, presence, and the flow of energy between the partners. It's about eye contact, breathing together, and creating that deep connection.
Can a person have more than one blueprint? Do you get a secondary or primary? How does it work in individuals?
Yeah, so I think that absolutely you can have a variety of different blueprints. Some may lead at certain junctions, remembering that we are, as human beings, we are layered and complex and come with all these different variety of things. So it totally depends on, again, the situation, the phase and chapter that you're in your life. As you grow and evolve, so will your desires, so will your intimacy grow and evolve. And it's really important to kind of keep checking in what is doing it for you. And, you know, maybe with different partners, maybe with yourself, you have different erotic blueprints for that. So similar to the love languages you mentioned earlier, which are quite different, we are not just one of them. We are all of them. We find these connections from all of them. But you might say that you are, like you said earlier, acts of service is something that is a leader at the moment for you. So at the moment, you might be an acts of service person. However, are you a giver in acts of service? So you feel the love and connection when you give an act of service, or is it about receiving? Because what tends to happen is we speak our own language to a partner, and then we expect them to have the same response. So if I'm a words of affirmation, you're an acts of service person, as an example, and I'm giving you words of affirmation, it's going to land very differently as if I give you acts of service, right? And vice versa. So we could be speaking two different languages, and I'm going, but I'm giving you what you're asking for, and you're not responding in the same, you're not receiving it in the same light. It's maybe because I'm giving you my blueprint. I'm giving you my love language, not yours. So I think it's very important to identify which one belongs to you. How are you expressing it, but also how do you like receiving it?
I think that's an important part, understanding how your partner likes receiving it. Some of the, when you look at the different blueprints, I mean, when you look at kinky specifically, and I think to some degree even sexual, I think that they might make for very difficult conversations. I mean, when you look at kinky, I think it's rooted in the idea of what is taboo. And I think for some people, they hear that and already, and I think you started at speaking about taking the shame out of sexual encounters. When they hear that already, flags start to go up and people start to worry about how you go about navigating that. How would you advise somebody to explore figuring out what their blueprints is and even navigating, let's say if yours is kinky?
So I think it's a great question, and it goes back to bringing up any kind of topic that feels slightly uncomfortable, and specifically around, you know, sexuality and what our sexual preferences are. It's not necessarily an easy conversation. We've never been taught to have an easy, you know, for it to be an easy conversation. I do this for a living, and still sometimes there can be uncomfortability in it. So I think it's getting familiar and comfortable with that, and by taking the shame and taboo out, it's not just, oh, just take the shame and taboo out, right? You have to work towards it. So I think first identifying what works for you and what you're looking for. What are you seeking? To then be able to communicate that with a partner is finding a safe, a partner you feel safe enough to have that conversation with. If you're engaging in sexual intimacy with your partner, you should be able to have adult conversations about that sexual intimacy. So creating the space around it. I call it the 3 T's: timing, turf, and tone. When are we having this conversation? So being mindful of when we bring it up, not as they walk in the door or lay their head on the pillow and about to fall asleep, and you're like, so there's this thing, and then we kind of throw them off guard. It's setting up the timing of it, making sure that it's over a dinner when they've eaten, and you're kind of, oh, I heard this thing on 702 the other day. It was really interesting. What do you think about this? You know, it kind of takes it into a third person dynamic. You're getting curious with each other. Curiosity always over criticism. We want to soften it. It's an I statement. You know, when you come in with I have heard this and I think this is quite interesting, I'm not coming at you about it. So that's timing. When are you doing it? Tone, how are you approaching it? Turf, where are you approaching it? Don't approach it if there's like kids running around or you're in a public setting that feels super uncomfortable and you're worried people are going to hear you. So think about how you're approaching it and what is your objective in approaching it. Is it to gain interest in what your partner's viewpoint is? Is it to ask them for something specific, saying, I'm really like this and I might want to try this. Are you open to it? Sometimes we spend more time building it up in our head, thinking, how am I going to approach this? I really want to try shibari, which is the Japanese rope tying, as an example. How am I now going to ask for that? And I spend more time concerned my partner's going to judge me than when I'm like, oh, I heard about this thing, or I saw this thing on Instagram, or I heard this on 702 radio, and they were discussing this. It sounds super interesting. I'd be quite keen to try it out. What do you think? It kind of takes a little bit of a, like, you just got to ask it, and kind of lean into that. You lean into that conversation. And if you do it gently with curiosity, your partner's likely going to hopefully come back with the same
Energy.
structure.
Yeah. I want to speak about how to thrive under the different blueprints, but I also want to extend a call out to our listeners. If you've got questions for Nu, please feel free to call in. Have you discovered your erotic blueprint? Do you know your partner's erotic blueprint? How do you help them achieve orgasms? What turns you on? What do you need to do? I mean, Nu, there's different ways to thrive under all of these, from my understanding. I really liked, I think one of them, which one is essential, that plays around ice cubes, where you can have a temperature play, wax, candles, all of that back and forth. So let's look at the different ways where you can maximize on the different blueprints.
Absolutely. So that was sensation that you speak of, which is more skin to skin contact. So think sensual massages, touch, and that's a really great way to begin the exploration. If your partner or yourself is into sensation play, it's thinking about what sensations they are. Also, another side caveat to that I've discovered works really well is when you take away one sense, it heightens all the others. So this is maybe for the more experienced folk who are getting into it. But if you, like, let's say, for example, are comfortable closing your eyes, then all of a sudden everything feels a little bit more heightened. So if your partner starts at your toes, but then all of a sudden is at your head, but then all of a sudden on your hands, you're like, wait, where are you? It kind of drives the anticipation of where they are up, and your sensation then goes up.
We definitely see that quite frequently. Somebody being blindfolded for as part of heightening a sexual experience. I mean, I've seen the issue of the candle wax as well. The temperature play stands out. I mean, we've also seen ice at play. And then what about the other
and
blueprints?
Those all play a huge role. So just on the candle, please just be sure to use massage candles. They're quite different to just normal store-bought candles. You don't want to burn the skin. And always with any play, start with a pre-conversation. You have to have a conversation before you enter into a play of any scenario. It's a discussion where you kind of like, what are you into tonight? What are you feeling for? What are you needing? Sometimes you want to be in a sensation play, but maybe you're just down for a back massage and not quite the like candle wax vibe. So you've got to have a pre-conversation to know what you're looking for before you start playing, because when you start playing, your brain goes into a completely different state. So you want to be sound of mind. Consent and communication is absolutely core and key to having a good sexual experience.
That's very important.
So very important. So then your question was about the other blueprints and how we can thrive under those. So when we think about, let's say, the sexual one, which is more of the traditional genital-based way of thinking about passionate sex and direct stimulation, it's broadening that, again, asking what your partner wants, how they want it, harder, faster, softer. Don't look for huge, complicated sentences. Go to your basics on harder, faster, softer, so that you can communicate what it is that you're looking for and how to diversify that. You can include toys into that. You can include different stimulation when it comes to different genital stimulation, playing with oral, playing with penetration, whatever it is that what you're both looking for and comfortable with. Kinky is, again, it's about exploring your boundaries. Where do you feel like your boundary line is drawn? What are you looking to experience in that? This is a very broad spectrum when we say kinky, because that is anything from power dynamics, from submissive to dominating, to role play, to a whole alternative section of sexual experiences. So I think it's thinking about what it is that you want to experience and what might turn you on. You might discover you have a bit of a foot thing. You might discover that actually you have a nipple play as your thing. Whatever it might be, it's starting to get curious on creating a little bit of a bucket list that you want to try out. And if you and your partner are comfortable, try it once, see if it's your thing, communicate your way through it, and find the boundary line for both of you. Shape shifting is around, again, that one is a little bit more fluid. So thriving in that is being conscious of, if you are a shapeshifter, that's really about depending on the moment, the person, the situation, to see what arises and what sexual experience you're looking for. Shapeshifter is quite common. I would say out of all of them, that would probably be a very common one, because you're kind of feeling out the vibe of what that session looks like. Energetic, however, is really about the feeling. It's the present. So that is setting up, for example, eye gazing to begin with, where you both sit opposite each other, you lock eyes, and you don't say a word, you don't have any, you just roll with that deep connection for eye contact. Breathing together, breathing exercise is very, very powerful. And it's creating those experiences that deepen that connection, whatever that may look like to you.
I'm actually listening. I was going to ask you what's predominant, but I'm hearing you speak about shapeshifter. But I listened to you describing energetic and the locking of eyes. And I don't know, is it, when you speak about the locking of eyes, is that the exercise of actually sitting and locking into someone's eyes? Or does locking eyes across the room also fall under something like a energetic blueprint?
So I think locking eyes over a room is going to have a little bit of a different energy. That might be like a starting connection point. Where you do eye gazing, it's pretty close. So you're about 10 centimeters ish from the person. You're quite close. Your legs can sometimes be, if you're like sitting cross-legged and you kind of connect your legs over, so your genitalia and your chests are like pretty close together, right? That is where you're like in an intimate connection. Energetically, you're intimately connected. It's a close proximity to be able to lock eyes. It's called eye gazing. And it's really about connecting deeply with that person. It's not about a no blinking contest. It's about really getting, and there is a precursor to this, that it does get uncomfortable. If you've never eye gazed with someone, holding 3-minute eye gaze sounds so easy. I can stare at you for 3 minutes, but intimately, you look into someone's soul when you do deep eye gazing.
Yeah,
So
I don't think it's an easy one.
It can get uncomfortable. But it's also leaning into that.
I'm going to play you a couple of voice notes from some of our listeners who've got some questions and comments. If you want to also ask new questions and understand the idea of a blueprint and talk to us about whether you figured yours out or figured your partner's one out, what arouses your partner, how do you help them get to their orgasm, what turns you on, feel free. 011-883-0702, 072-702-1702. We are discussing the sexual blueprints. How do you figure out your erotic map? Take a listen, Nu.
Hi, good day, Tshidi and your guest. Yeah, when talking of a triple T, the tone works for me. I'm in a distance relationship. Every time I speak to my queen, I turn on, like literally on. So I always check my position when I speak to her on the phone, not in the video. Her voice, it's actually turns me on. Oh my word, she's my beauty, and I love her to bits. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, I was Tshidi and the team there. Max here from Pretoria. I think for us guys talking about this topic, maybe your female partner sharing or asking to maybe go like into other avenues, sexual avenues, to try new things and stuff like that. I think for guys it's a bit tricky because you start to think, how does this person know these things? How long has she been in the game? Because it's somehow, man, it's like, okay, fine, I'm less experienced compared to this woman, obviously. That means I don't know how to say this in a less offensive way or in a less sharper way, but then she has more mileage than me, so it becomes a problem. So yeah.
Yeah, Thank you so much for those voice notes. 072-702-1702 or 11883-0702 if you want to speak to our guest. We're speaking to Lou Davidson. I do want her to weigh in on those. I'm just looking at the clock and I'm trying to manage the time. So when I come back, I will ask her to speak to that. I think that other voice note about me, he's calling his partner my queen, my beauty, and he says he's turned on by her voice. That's an interesting one as well. So we'll speak about that. But I also think the complexity being raised in the second voice note where men are weary. I never think that men would be weary of speaking about what they also want in the bedroom. So the confidence to speak about their blueprints is interesting. And the interpretation of a woman's blueprint. I mean, when he says he thinks about, she's got mileage, how many people has she been with? That, I think, becomes an issue. And that's being in your head possibly way too much. But we'll get news view on all of this when we come back from the headlines. For now, though, it is 11:30. Bali Dlamini's got your headlines.
Thanks, Tshidi. Good morning. Some foundations of former struggle stalwarts have pulled out of the upcoming national dialogue. These include the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, which played a key role in pushing government to hold the event. In a media statement released today, the foundations say the core principles meant to underpin a national dialogue have been violated, including the erosion of citizen-led leadership. They also believe the 15th of August date, which is next week Friday, is a bit too soon to host an event of such importance. Members of Parliament want all witnesses in the ad hoc committee investigation into police corruption to submit sworn written testimony in advance to avoid any hearsay. Political parties submitted their recommendations this week on how the committee should conduct its investigation and who should be the evidence leader. And Joburg Mayor Dada Morero is confident the city's infrastructure problems will be resolved in time for the G20 summit with less than 3 months to go. Heads of state from emerging and developed economies are expected to attend the gathering in November with Joburg as the host city. Those are the headlines, this EWN and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Travelling on the N1 South, we've got delays between Sambrand Avenue and the Olifantsfontein Road. This is due to an earlier accident. While on the N12 as well as the R24 West, delays between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange. Heading towards the Braamfontein area, do expect some delays on the M1 South between the Jan Smuts Avenue exit and Empire Road. There's also queuing traffic on the M2 West. This is between the Crown Interchange and Main Route Road. This is just as you head towards Amalgam. I'm Amo Ramela. Karabujali will have your next traffic updates from the top of the hour onwards.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
And I get that there are legacy contracts that were agreed to in particular times, but things do change. What is the argument for continuing with these?
The problem is that NERSA is simply not doing that calculation. There's just no document in the public domain that shows that they're doing a proper kind of comparative cost-benefit analysis. And so all we are left with, as you've said, is this kind of raw number, which is an enormous discount, means Eskom is not getting those funds while it is in crisis.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
Celebrate Women's Day in style with exclusive platinum or golden standing tickets to see Grammy Award-winning singers Anthony Hamilton and Joe Thomas. Enjoy complimentary seating, dedicated bar areas and restrooms, and the freedom to bring your own picnic blanket for a relaxed, unforgettable experience happening at the iconic DP World Wonder Stadium in Sandton. They'll be joined by South Africa's multi-award-winning singers, the incomparable Zonke Java and Vusi Nova. Get your tickets now on CompuTicket or webtickets.co.za, brought to you by Soulful Night, Vertex Events and 702.
Your office is more than just a place to work. It's a reflection of your success. At Desk and Chair, we help you elevate your workspace with locally manufactured desks and a wide range of chairs to suit your style and budget. Our expert consultants are with you every step of the way, from planning to delivery and assembly. Visit our showroom in Midrand or shop online at deskandchair.co.za. Desk and Chair. Think, feel, work better.
Welcome to Nando's Customer Care. How can I fire up your...
Finally, can I actually just speak to the manager? It's about the chicken. Why did you marinate it for 24 hours? 24 hours, yeah, 86,400 seconds to marinate. Why? Well, I mean, it is really tender, juicy, and that delicious Nando's peri-peri flavor just warms me up. And then you add any 3 sharing sides, and I guess, well, there is nothing like it. But that is my complaint. I can't complain.
Nando's, fire it up.
What is Overtrail? Is it off the beaten path, over the edge of comfort, or the thrill of the road less taken? It's over every bridge, every obstacle, every trail, and over to that view that takes your breath away. Overtrail means going further, exploring deeper, surrounded by the comfort and sophistication of a luxury SUV. It's this spirit that inspired the Overtrail project. Experience Overtrail in the LX and GX range. Lexus. Experience amazing.
From women's sports to private equity in entertainment, the Premier Sport and Entertainment Masterclass brings you world-class learning to South Africa. Harvard Business School's Professor Anita Ebelser will unpack the New York Liberty's WNBA turnaround, Redbird Capital's bold moves with Paramount and AC Milan, and more. 11 and 12 August at the Maslow Hotel. Tickets available now on Ticketmaster.
702
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
Welcome back. It is the relationship focus, the sex focus. We're in conversation with sex educator Nu Davidson. We're discussing erotic blueprints. If you figured those out, your arousal map, your primary sexual style, and their variety of styles and how people get about to it. Just before the headlines with 2 voice notes where Nu, you're being asked to weigh in on 2 matters. So I'll start with the loveliest one, the sweetest one, where he was referring to his partner as his queen, his beauty, and he said his turn on is actually her voice. When he speaks to her on the phone, he's immediately turned on. That can be a thing, the voice, right?
Absolutely. So this is a really good example of an energetic blueprint, because this is all about connection and energy between partners, often feeling more aroused through non-physical, subtle experiences like tone, sound, vibration of a partner's voice. Makes complete sense. The sound of his partner's voice is likely triggering arousal because it engages a deeper, more energetic connection. So feeling, something that's felt on an emotional, energetic level rather than a physical level. And this can include things like whispering, verbal affirmations, the rhythm and cadence of her voice is probably doing it for him. So this is a really wonderful example of an energetic blueprint and how broad that can look for someone.
And then the other voice note, and I think he presents 2 issues, not just one, but the part where he felt that it's intimidating for men to discuss what they want, their sexual desires as well, their blueprint. And then he says, on top of that, it also brings up the issue of mileage. So not only are you intimidated to have the actual discussion, but he's also concerned about what it will produce and the kind of questions and judgment, in essence, that it'll have on his partner.
So the thing is the irony is he's saying it's difficult for men to express their desires. However, I'm going to take the gender out of it and say that clearly it's difficult for everybody, for many people, no matter your gender, to express, because we have scenarios like this, whereby is she able to express her desires? Is he, when he's intimidated by them and wondering where they come from, so they come with an element of judgment. If we want to have a good sexual relationship with our partner, it is absolutely fundamental that we create a judgment-free, good communicative space. So we want our partner to be able to tell us what it is that is working for them, not working for them. We want to be able to open these conversations and communicate for both parties to better understand what is turning them on and turning them off. So it's creating that environment where both of those partners can feel like they can have that conversation, to get curious, to ask questions, not to judge them, shut them down because you may have experienced it with someone else. I want to just let, and I think his name was Max. So Max from Pretoria, thank you so much for calling in and for sharing that story with us. I highlight that your courage is obviously connected to many others listening in who can relate to what you've said. I think it's really important to, I'm not dismissing the intimidation and the insecurity around your partner having other experiences, but what is important is how your partner experiences their intimacy with you. you and how you experience that intimacy with each other. Creating that space and getting curious what turns each other off and on is going to give the light and direction to your sex life with each other. And it's being able to look at it from a light of no experiences are the same. No two experiences are the same. Both of you are unique. Both of you have been with other people, maybe not, regardless. What you guys experience together is your primary. So creating that journey as a partnership, you're going on this adventure to have those experiences together. And if you think about being able to be of service sexually to your partner and vice versa, it's being able to understand what turns them on. So I ask Max, if you are curious about what turns your partner on and how to have the best sex life with your partner, or is it about a power play?
That's an interesting question. And then all these blueprints have shadows. What are the shadows? Is that is this the negative or the danger side of the shadows? Of the blueprints, rather.
So when we think about the shadows, with regards to these are the unhealthy, more challenging aspects of each blueprint. So when we look at the sensation blueprint, the overstimulation or lack of depth, neglect of emotional connection, this can be a byproduct of that. They might seek the constant physical stimulation, which could lead to a sense of emptiness and a struggle for deep connection emotionally. So looking at overstimulation and lack of depth for sensation blueprint. Sexual blueprint, tunnel vision, only genital pleasure, only focus on performance. This is like we're doing this to have genital stimulation, penetration, orgasm, the end. So when you only have a tunnel vision and you only focus on performance, that can then have a negative impact because you can get the pressure of performance. And now you have performance anxiety, you have unrealistic expectations, you lack fulfillment because your partner's needs aren't going beyond the physical acts, right? So think about when you have sexual blueprints, it's the tunnel vision, only focusing on performance and the genitalia. This can take the pleasure out of it also. When we look at kinky blueprint, and the shadow of a kinky blueprint can be shame, manipulation over power dynamics, very important. So using kink as a means of control and manipulation rather than a mutual consent and enjoyment. If communication and practicing safely, kink can become a source of dysfunction and you can build resentment. This is absolutely key, especially when playing with any of these blueprints. You need to have consent and clear communication in order to have a positive result. Shape-shifting. I'm
going to take a quick break. Sorry to cut you in there. I'm going to take a very quick break. When we come back, though, I want to play you a few more voice notes because there are still questions that some of the listeners have put to you.
Dear Journal, day 4602 of trying to be an adult. My doctor asked me how my quality of rest is at the moment. I told him I have two problems. I struggle to sleep at night, but I also struggle to awake at day.
Aggressively realizing your age? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's simple and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
Zinzi, the Gen Z. Word on the street is you sold your car.
Yes, and you know I needed a glow up. Hashtag no hustle, no hassle.
So wait. The influencer got influenced by We Buy Cars.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And they came to me. They checked the car, they gave me an offer. Oh, and they paid me immediately. Easier than an Insta Live, without the weird DMs at 2 a.m.
I didn't understand half of the things you just said, but hey, We Buy Cars. Geared for the glow up, geared for you.
Hey, honey, look. Went to the shops, like you asked, and it was the Deco Fern birthday sale. Picked up this amazing 3-seater sofa for only $5,599. And this coffee table, just $489. Oh, and this gorgeous standing mirror for like $699.
Wow, I just asked you to get some milk.
Get deals worth celebrating at Deco Furniture's epic birthday sale with 10 to 40% and more off everything in-store or online now at decofurnsa.co.za.
Choose the best. The new Huawei Pura 80 series. The master of photography. A super sensor with precision zoom. Stay sharp from dawn to dusk with a superior 1-inch ultralighting camera and ultralighting macro telephoto lens. The master of color, enhancing every frame with vibrant color and incredible clarity. Tricky lighting? No problem. Take portraits against the light with every face perfectly illuminated. It's more than a phone. It's a professional studio in your pocket. Go beyond with Huawei Pura 80 series.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
It's 11:44. We're in conversation with sex educator Lou Davidson discussing your sexual blueprints. How do you identify your sexual blueprint? Do you know what it is? Have you located it? Do you know your partners? Do you know what turns them on? Ways to help manage and navigate sexual arousal. You can send voice notes or call in on 011 883 0702 if you've got a question for Lou, or send a voice note on 072 702 1702. New, here a couple of voice notes for you.
Hi, it's David here. What an interesting topic. What turns me on is foreplay. You know, foreplay. Yeah, that's what turns me on, and the way she moans.
You heard that, New, and I think I don't know if does that sound like sensual. I don't know why Abel's laughing today. I'm not the one who's laughing. He's laughing at moaning, but it goes back to that sound issue. People do speak about voice, and I think in there, and I think you've said that people can have multiple blueprints. In there lies in my head, I think, a bit of energetic. The connection is there, and a bit of sensual, maybe.
Yeah, I think that one is a little bit more complex. I have a few questions for David. You know, what is foreplay? When you say foreplay, people have defined foreplay in a variety of different ways of what that encompasses. And I think the smiles from I'm sure everyone in studio, myself included, when he said it's the moans, it's because it feels tangible. You can hear his joy and the pleasure he's getting from knowing he's giving pleasure to make his partner moan. So I love that. I love that, David. Thank you for sharing.
And then how do you, there's also a difference for me in my head about blueprints between gender. How do they manifest for women? What are the common blueprints? And for men? And how do they find one another in that regard? At the very beginning, I think you spoke about the importance of being able to communicate in order to try and heighten your connection as a partnership, as a couple.
Yeah, so I think that gender is irrelevant, to be honest. I think that every gender can experience all of these blueprints. It depends on your partner, it depends on the stage and phase and the chapter you're in. So I don't think that they're necessarily gender specific. I have not necessarily done any data research on which ones fit which demographic more. But I think it's just, again, going back to communication and becoming aware of your own blueprint so that you can communicate that. And if you don't know what yours or your partner is, get curious, ask the questions, get inquisitive, try them, try all four of them. Why not? See what is your boat and what does it for you and what doesn't. It's the journey of exploration that finds you your destination.
And in terms of advice, those kind of questions that one needs to ask, is it about questions when in the act, not in the act? Because sometimes you're told you must touch your partner particularly and ask them if it feels good. Is that the kind of questions, how the questions must manifest? Is there a recipe of what they need to look like in order to get the answers to figure out what the direction is?
So I think that there is, I wouldn't say that there's like a generic recipe. Here you go, guys. Here's the roadmap to go and do 1, 2, 3.
Why is life that easy? It would be so much easier if the adults are told, press this button, you'll get to where you're going.
I would also make a lot of money if I could just be like, here's your roadmap, 1, 2, 3, and there you have it. Your dream sex life. It's not that simple, unfortunately, because every human being is unique. Your desires are unique. They fluctuate, they change. There's certain circumstances, triggers, and what it is that you're looking for. So I think start with yourself. Get curious as to which one would you like to explore, which one's like kind of spikes a little interest and curiosity of, I wonder, when I've just spoken about all of these blueprints, sensation, sexual, kinky, shapeshifter, energetic, which one in description did a little something for you? And if not, it's about exploring them, seeing which one maybe you do connect with and which one you don't connect with. If you don't explore it, you don't know. I think when it comes to curiosity and having these conversations, asking these questions, it's a pre-conversation, because you don't want to end up in a kinky situation and you haven't like established any boundaries or what each other are looking for, kind of opening the dynamic and the conversation. Then when you're in play, constant communication is around checking in, but you also don't want to be like, every few seconds, like, hey, does this feel good? Hey, is this going? Because you're breaking that, like, okay, let me actually feel it. And I'm not having a conversation with you now. So go back to, again, as I said in the beginning, it's not about sentences. It's about short descriptive words, faster, harder, yes, no. Think about the words that best describe. Also, get inquisitive about your person's body language. You will see if their hips are tilting towards you and they're moaning in pleasure. Now is not the time to be asking the questions and breaking the moment. It's looking for the body language. If they're laying there stiff and uncomfortable and not moving, they're indicating that you might want to change it up. So it's about reading your person. It's about getting curious. And again, short descriptive words. Yes, no, I'm not sure. Go back, go slowly, and go at the pace that works for both of you.
And I want to go back to those shadow types that we spoke about earlier. I think cut you short a little bit because I was going on a break, but I want you to help me understand how people get over particular hurdles that are produced by the shadow types. I mean, when one thinks about the sexual shadow, being too focused on the genitals, on the actual act, the penetration in and of itself, what is the advice to somebody who becomes like that? What do they need to look out for to know that you've gone beyond the pleasurable aspects and now it's too mechanical, it's too technical. You've too focused on the act and doing, you know what I mean, the anatomy as opposed to the pleasure you must derive from the act.
So I think it's about slowing things down for yourself. If you are able to catch that you're getting overly focused on performance, and that's putting pressure on you and it's taking away the pleasure, it's making sure that you're checking in on what still feels what your fulfillment looks like. So what is arousing you? If it's not arousing you and it's adding pressure to you, diversify. So think about how you can change it up. Maybe step away from genitalia for a moment, have a few sexual interactions where genitalia are not a part of it. Start to train yourself to have pleasure beyond just penetration and genitalia focus. So that my advice would be to that person only focused on performance and genitalia, try and have a sexual intimate moment without genitalia involved at all. See how that builds the anticipation and the arousal.
And then the anxiety and feeling overwhelmed that might come with the energetic shadow.
So with that, I mean, that is like an emotional detachment withdrawal, very common in terms of the shadow of energetic blueprint. That because it's a lot of intimate non-physical connection, it's about regrouping with each other, communication being absolute core here. If you can't communicate, you can't emotionally feel safe enough to be vulnerable in the state energetically. So it's dialing back. Yes, of course, we're all human beings. You have uncomfortability, anxiety, and anxiety is not it is not logical. So you can't make logic of anxiety and talk it out of someone, but it's seeing it for what it is, validating that it exists and making that person feel comfortable. Again, moving through communication and what feels comfortable and consensual for both of you.
And I'd imagine, I'm not sure, you'll tell me if I'm wrong, but the idea of getting caught in your own head, I think it's something that they associate with sensual shadow. But in my head, that feels like a common thing where if you speak to somebody, because you encourage communication, but if it feels like you're trying and it doesn't feel like you've been heard properly, I can imagine somebody withdrawing, drawing inwards and being too much in their heads and being unable to perform or enjoy the moment at least.
So I think that's a very valid point. You can have that in your head for any of these blueprints, for any intimacy at any time. What is important, and I would say the three core general shadows across all blueprints is unmet needs, unhealthy communication, and shame. Internalizing your desires and going inward isn't going to help your connection and communication. So it's taking space from that moment. If you can see that it's escalating and it's not landing and your partner's not getting it, it's scheduling, again, thinking about your timing. When are you having this conversation? If it's happening and you're like, okay, this is not working, hit pause. Don't be afraid to say, actually, I'm feeling too in my head, and can we just take a break for right now? absolutely fine. You should always be able to hit the pause button and then circle back on it. You want to be able to say, can I actually have a chat with you tomorrow morning or later in an hour? I just want to, like, I'm feeling like I'm in my head. The moment you own it and you acknowledge that this is what's going on, you let your partner in on a very, very useful piece of information, that it's not them. Because immediately when they feel that, rejection comes into play, and then they're like, oh, I'm being rejected. Now I get defensive. Now there's a whole other can of worms happening. But when you own it and it's like, I'm feeling a little in my head right now and I'm not so comfortable, can we take a pause? And then you pick up a conversation later. So when you did this, I didn't feel very heard. And I know, again, this is easier said than done. It takes training. We were never taught adequate communication. So you've got to seek the tools, the guidance, and the professional expertise to be able to give you the tools to have these conversations. So if you're really struggling to communicate, seek some professional guidance on someone who can help, facilitate some conversations and give you the tools to know how to have those conversations more effectively. Not saying you have to have all the answers. We were never trained to do this.
No. And then as far as the shapeshifter is concerned, the feeling that they always want more, they're never satisfied. The idea that there's a constant hunger that needs to be fed. How does one go about noticing that and managing that?
So I think that's a lot of ownership in the inconsistency, lack of clarity. With shapeshifters, it's more about like struggling with emotional and sexual inconsistency and feeling like I'm jumping from one thing to the other. Which one am I? Where am I? When I withdraw from physical intimacy, I'm detaching emotionally. If the energy is not right, then you're gonna you kind of bail on that experience. And it's really about checking in with yourself and knowing when you do a self check-in, what is it that you're withdrawing from? What is it that is feeling like you've lost the novelty of it? And it really is self-accountability, taking responsibility out of all of these shadows. It's taking responsibility to have the awareness to recognize when you're in those moments and what you can do about communicating your way through them. They're uncomfortable. Welcome to adulting.
Absolutely.
This is sexual intimacy. It's layered, it's complicated, but you got to get in it and have the most gentle, curious conversations you possibly can and navigate your way through it. Otherwise, like I say, there's many resources out there. There are millions of YouTube videos and free resources, as well as incredible professionals, from coaches to counselors to therapists to sexologists. There are resources to guide you on this journey.
My parting shot, and briefly really, and I think in a way you've kind of answered it. Your advice to listeners of mismatched blueprints. They've been listening to you and think, geez, my partner and I are not on the same wavelength. How must they navigate that?
So it goes again to wanting to better understand how to be of service to your partner. Are you wanting to only speak about your blueprint in your language? Is it about being able to do it as a partnership? Understanding each other's blueprints can open up new ways of bonding. And if you're an energetic type and maybe you can communicate that you need moments of stillness and deeper presence before sex, this can completely change the entire environment and the experience of your intimacy when you take into account each other's blueprint. So it's not saying it's only one or the other. It's getting creative and how do you encompass both? Both of your needs need to be met. Both of you need to feel heard. Both of you need to feel that you want this connection and that you want this intimacy.
Well put. Thank you so much. I'm going to leave it on that note. That's New Davidson, a sex educator, helping us navigate our sexual blueprints.
And there you go, your favorite latte, hot and ready.
You never disappoint.
Listen, did you see that email? God, it's going down. Let's catch up later. Got another Zoom meeting.
Oh, okay, cool. Later.
Meet our audience. They are working, living their lives, sharing stories, and always listening. So if you're going to interrupt them, it better be good. Prime Media Broadcasting Sales. We help you connect with every productive, innovative, and dynamic individual in our audience. From the open plan office to the executive suite. Contact us at advertise@primemedia.co.za today.
It's the final days of the Dial-A-Bed annual super sale with up to 33% off. Don't miss out on SA's best bed deals. The Sealy Celebration Queen Set is now only $8,999 and the 40 Winks Active Zone Queen Set is reduced to $11,999. Plus, get next day delivery on our best sellers. Dial-A-Bed. Sleep for life.
The thrill of the chase comes with great rewards in the legendary Hollywood Bets Spinner Zonke Jackpot Race. Join the run, spin selected habanero slots for fun, and stand a chance to win a share of 3 million rand. Feel the rush in the race for riches when you bet 2 rand or more every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, and you can jump with Jackpot Joy. Take on the challenge and discover endless opportunities to win big. Bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bets supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Coming up
On the Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
Coming up next is Mandy Wiener with the Midday Report. Welcome back. It's
Thank
a Friday.
you very much. Thank you. Lots of things happening. We'll look at the national dialogue, judgment in former Zambian President Edgar Lungu's that matter. He must be repatriated.
Oh.
That's the ruling. So we'll talk about all of that, and then it's Friday, Tshidi.
Sports and good things
too.
Yes. I got it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you.